This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis with you. It is Friday. The weekend is here. Big night tomorrow at Canada Life Centre with the Jets taking on the Minnesota Wild, and looking forward to seeing all of you WSTers up in Section 316 that jumped on us for the game of the month. I was just checking at the end of yesterday's show, and all of the additional tickets, minus one, I believe, was sold. So looks like we're going to have a great group with us up in the section tomorrow night. And it will sort of double as a bit of a Winnipeg Sports Talk holiday party. So thanks to everyone supporting the Winnipeg Sports Talk game of the month. Can't wait to see you all tomorrow. It is, of course, the holiday game. So if you would like to really get into the season, you can throw your Santa hat on or your Christmas-themed attire and make sure to join us. Now, just a quick note on that. I believe we got an email from the Jets that if you are coming early for the early admission, you're going to do that through the Portage and Donald doors. And up on the third level, on the Portage side, is that Michelob Ultra flight deck. That is the area that I think they've got for us if you want to get there early. And as I mentioned, I'm going to try and rip over to BP at City Place into the lounge there and catch the first half of the Steelers-Ravens game after the Chiefs and Texans play. So certainly more than welcome to pop by there for one and support our great sponsors over at BP and say hi to the gang as well. Yes, Eric Yorlifson, season's beatings tomorrow. Really looking forward to this one. Jets 2-0 against the Wild. Wild pretty banged up too. Just looking, Philip Gustafson, who's been so good this year, is dinged up. Joel Eriksson-Ek, of course. Our pal Jacob Middleton, who scored in both games against the Winnipeg Jets this year, he's out. And Yakov Trenin on the shelf as well. Jessi Pierce is going to join us. We'll talk Vikings a little bit with Jessi. Everyone can kind of get behind the Vikes. They got a big game this weekend on the road in Seattle as they look to go to 13-2. And then we'll take our respective sides and talk about the rivalry in this game tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to having Jessi on the program. Murat will also pop on a little bit. The Jets did practice today. If you missed it at the end of yesterday's show, literally just as we were signing off, we got the word that both Dylan Coughlin had cleared waivers and he and Nikita Chibrikov were assigned to the Manitoba Moose. And the Moose are playing this weekend. They've got games tonight as well as Sunday. And then a busy week next week, right out of Christmas. You got Jets on Ottawa on the Saturday night. You got the Moose on the Sunday. Jets in Nashville on Monday. And then a New Year's Eve game for the Manitoba Moose at Canada Life Centre, sort of a great Winnipeg tradition on the 31st. So a lot of hockey coming out of the Christmas break. But as I mentioned, we'll get lots on the Jets coming off that quick 2-game road trip. And a disappointing last game against the Anaheim Ducks with Murat. Jessi Pierce is going to join us. And we'll talk NFL before we do marbles with a holiday visit of Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Shout out to everybody in chat. Great to see you all and best of the season. And a huge happy holidays and sincere thanks to the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. The great people over at Princess Auto, our friends at Coolbet Canada, of course, Rolly's Transfer, Manitoba Battery, fansfirst.ca, Hockey Manitoba and the Hockey Canada Ultimate 50-50 draw, Canadian Club, Wallace & Wallace, the Winnipeg Jets, F Apparel, Little Brown Jug, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, and of course we'll get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp over at Waverly and McGillivray. And, we'll get to this in a minute, but we do have a special holiday gift for you all coming up when we're off for a few days, and we'll fill you in on the schedule on that as well as Monday. But first off, let's get Michael Remis in here and get this show going. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Yeah, I'm in a festive mood heading into the holiday game tomorrow. Very exciting. The afternoon hockey. Kids are off school and a couple days off next week. Exciting time. So I'm pumped. It's Friday. No game tonight, but game tomorrow. We will be there. But there are a number of NHL games tonight, and a lot of actually intriguing NHL stories. We had a couple trades this week. I'm hearing about teammates not getting along in Vancouver, but we're not focused on that. We're focused on the Jets getting out of this. I guess one game, Lou. They did win against San Jose, but you'd like to see them put up a nice performance against Minnesota on Saturday and really stick it to them, Huss, because I don't want to see Ryan Hartman doing Ryan Hartman things on the ice on Saturday.
No, neither do I, but I'm here for it. This is a great rivalry. It will be it should be a great atmosphere in the building. I mean, the games in and around the holidays are always really fun, and even better, Saturday night, 6 p.m. puck drop, a little Hockey Night in Canada action with the top two teams in the Central Division going at it. Now, as we go into tonight's action and begin today's show, the Jets, of course, are still on top of the Central Division, leading the National Hockey League in wins with 23. They've got 47 points in 34 games. The Minnesota Wild, who have dropped their last couple of contests, are 3 points back of Winnipeg with 2 games in hand. And Minnesota will play one of those games in hand tonight against Utah at home at the XL Energy Center. So quick turnaround for the Wild and a nice little advantage that the Jets are on the right side of for a change this season. Sitting at home, preparing, practicing today, getting ready for an opponent that will be playing somebody else tonight in another city and having to come in and play tomorrow. So certainly from the Jets' perspective, Remis, they're going to want to put their best foot forward after a stinker in Anaheim on Wednesday night and go into a quick trip to Toronto before the Christmas break on a winning note, as opposed to the bad taste, and I think all of their mouths, as we heard yesterday from Gabriel Velarde and Nikolai Ehlers with the performance to finish up the mom's trip out in California.
Yeah, that was a rough one, Huss. Getting outshot handily the first 2 periods. Eric Comrie having to, stand on his head there to keep them in the game. However, they were in it until the end, and you could argue should have got a point, but unfortunate giveaway at the end. Not even getting that, although, you look at the last 18 games. I'll give a shout out to Connor for tweeting this out, Huss. We've seen some concerning trends for the Jets in terms of goal scoring. 8-9-1 in their last 18, 30th in goals at 5-on-5, 30. They rank 30th in goals for per 60 minutes. And 29th in scoring chances, 25th in expected goals, and 25th in shots. So that's at 5-on-5 only, Huss. It's been a struggle for the Jets here scoring goals, if we want to look at that. The power play has certainly helped them out. You like to keep that going, but maybe a little more, throughout the lineup, Huss. And I think that would certainly be the key when you have Connor Hellebuck. He's going to do his job out there, but a little more from the rest of the lineup, Huss.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the numbers through the first 16 games were going to come down. I think we all accepted that and knew that. But, this is a team that offensively has really been carried by their power play. And, I don't think any better example of these last couple games in San Jose and Anaheim against teams that, you certainly feel that you should beat. Although I think we got another example of just how difficult winning is in the NHL last night, as the Sharks ended up taking the Avalanche to the limit before the Avalanche ended up getting the win, much like Winnipeg did later. I guess that went into OT, if I'm not mistaken. And Mackenzie Blackwood getting the win for the Avalanche against his former team. But I mean, listen, there's no doubt. I mean, Scott Arniel wasn't sugarcoating it after the game, and we'll hear from Scott Arniel in a minute, just coming out of practice today. Hey, one thing before we sort of dive into the Jets and hear from the coach and get ready for Murat to join us, we should mention programming for next week. It's a very strange week. Christmas, of course, is on Wednesday, Boxing Day Thursday, and Monday, which is normally a big show for us, wrapping the weekend, happens to start at 1 p.m., which is the exact same time that we'll be dropping the puck on the final game before Christmas in Toronto. Yeah, it's a Monday matinee, 2 p.m. Eastern start, which means 1 o'clock here. So it makes absolutely no sense for us to be on the air when the Jets are actually playing. So we're going to tee it up early on Monday. So turn your notifications on YouTube to remind you that, that we're going to be going on. But what are we going to say? 11, Reem? And we'll probably do an abbreviated show till 12:15, 12:20, 12:30 or so. We'll recap everything happening on the weekend. We'll talk about the football stories on the week, and then probably get a guest or two on the Leafs and Jets. So it'll be kind of a pseudo weekend wrap, Jets-Leafs pregame show, and then we'll be off for 3 days. But we are putting together a Winnipeg Sports Talk holiday special with 3 amazing guests that I think you're all going to love. And what's the plan, Remo? We'll premiere that at our normal time on Christmas Eve at 1 p.m. And if people want to come in and have some fun in the chat and give Christmas greetings, that'll be there for them. But if you are busy, you'll have 3 days to get to that before we're back up with a new show on the 27th of December on the Friday.
Yeah, that's right. We'll schedule the premiere so there will be, the chat and everything Tuesday at 1, but it will be pre-recorded content. But everyone's welcome to come in and watch together. I'll stop in and say hi. I'm excited for this, Huss. And yeah, Monday, 11, Nick Alberga from Leafs Morning Take. He's confirmed to join the show. Get ready for Jets Leafs. Very exciting on Monday. And yeah, Tuesday, we'll bring you some additional content as well. So I'm excited here, a couple days off, but also to put out this great show that we have planned for Tuesday.
Yeah, so, maybe around Marbles, we'll play a little clip of one of our guests and give you a bit of an idea about who's going to be coming on. But that's the story for next week. An 11 a.m. show on Monday. We'll wrap the weekend and get ready for the Jets and Leafs. We will premiere the holiday special at a regular time, 1 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Invite you all to come by for that if you're able to and have fun with everybody in the chat. And if not, when you need a little bit of time away from friends and family, that'll be there for you, and I think you'll all enjoy it. And then back on the 27th, which is Friday, looking ahead to the Jets in Ottawa following Saturday, and, of course, a big weekend with playoff implications in the National Football League. Latest on the Jets, though, Reem. Today, as we mentioned, Dylan Coghlan and Nikita Chibrikov sent down today, but a couple of missing Jets today at practice. No David Gustafsson and no Logan Stanley. And it sounds like Stan is dinged up from blocking a shot off his foot and will not be in the lineup for the next couple games heading into Christmas.
Yeah, I don't remember the specific part of the game where that happened, but I'll take Scott Arniel's word for it. And Gustafsson, as you mentioned, they said he's got like the flu. He's sick. Or no, they said flu. Murat says sick. We also did have some news on Dylan Samberg, Huss. They're hoping that he might start skating December 27. He hasn't played since November 23rd when he broke a bone in his foot versus Nashville. So those are the injury news. And they do have the pairings. Lines the same: Connor Shafley, Velarde, Perfetti, Nemesnikov, Ehlers, Niederreiter, Lowry, Appleton, Barron, Kupari, Iafallo, Morrissey, DeMello, Fleury, Pionkin, Heinola, and Miller. And Murat noting he thinks those last two pairs have interchanged a bit. We'll get some clarification from him when he comes up. But Ville Heinola on a pair with Colin Miller. Tonight, Logan Stanley out. That's the big lineup news. And I thought maybe they would give Chibrikov a shot, Huss, give him a game on the fourth line there. But they're sticking with it together, and it's amazing. You look at the lines that have played together the most this year throughout the NHL. The Jets lines have the most, among the leaders in most minutes. And I mean, it's no surprise because every day we're sitting here talking with the lines saying there are no changes. So that's the lineup for what's set to be tomorrow against Minnesota.
Quick thanks to Jeff Bose with a very nice and generous super chat. Merry Christmas. Thanks for a great year. Jeff, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Of course, we've got the usual. I've never seen certain people that are so bent about a team that's in first place in the division and has won more games than anybody in the NHL. What a world we're living in right now in the PEG. I know most of you are pretty fired up, though, and looking forward to tomorrow night's game. As far as the Jets go, we did get a little bit of Scott Arniel post-practice today, and let's hear from the head coach right now. Always a big game when the Jets and Wild go at it. Hard to believe this is their final meeting of the regular season. Could they meet in the playoffs? Sign me up for that. But here's Arnie up on going up against the Minnesota Wild tomorrow night at home in front of the festive fans in Winnipeg.
I mean, obviously with Minnesota, the proximity, we played them exhibition. You play them lots. We've had some physical contests with them over the last couple of years. But I don't put any more emphasis over Dallas, Colorado, Utah. This is a divisional game, and they're sitting right behind us, and we want to grow that gap, point wise. So, it's a big divisional game for us, and I don't think that Minnesota is going to make us change our kind of game plan and how we approach it.
We'll, as I said, have Jessi Pierce jump on with us a little later on, but the Wild coming to Winnipeg at a time where they are dealing with some pretty significant injuries. Certainly, actually, we'll get to that update on Dylan Sandberg in just a minute. But Joel Eriksson Ek on the IR. Jacob Middleton, who has been a real pain in the ass for the Winnipeg Jets, he's out of the lineup tomorrow. Jakub Trenin right now is day-to-day. And Philip Gustafsson-Remis listed as day-to-day, but it doesn't sound like he will be playing tomorrow. Kind of leaning on Marc-Andre Fleury right now, with Gus sort of banged up. And listen, he has been unbelievable. I mean, for my money, Stolarz has been really good in Toronto this year. Connor Hellebuck, clearly number one in the league. But, if you get outside of Hellebuck, to me, the top two goaltenders in the league this year has been Gustafsson in Minnesota and the guy we just saw play against the Jets in their last time out, Lucas Dostal, who's turning into a young star in net for the Anaheim Ducks.
I'll never forget, I think wasn't the headline in Toronto, they're like, who is this goalie that's starting for Anaheim? And it was Dostal, and he's had some big performances. He was pretty solid. And Marc-Andre Fleury in limited duty, he stepped up. I wonder if he can handle the full workload of a starting goalie in the NHL, but they are in action tonight against Utah, and Jets get the advantage playing a team coming off a back-to-back. And I think Minnesota, they're going to be an upset team. I'm curious how they come out. Last game they were at home against Florida, who's at the end of a road trip, and I thought that was Minnesota's game to show, hey, we're also a top team in the NHL. You look at all the odds boards, Huss, they don't get any respect, but you look at the standing, they were neck and neck with the Jets in first place, for the last couple of weeks here. But they got absolutely smoked. Matthew Tkachuk made Ryan Hartman go crazy. They put up, I think it was 6-1. If I recall, it was a 6-1 national game on TNT, and Minnesota just got blown out in their own building. How are they going to show up tonight? And will they have some in the tank tomorrow against the Winnipeg Jets, which I think will be an emotional rivalry game, as it always is with those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Wild do have the opportunity to be in first place on Sunday morning if they can win tonight and then beat the Jets tomorrow. Certainly the Jets, from their part, are going to try and get back into the win column, extend their league-leading number in wins at the top of the National Hockey League, and cement down first place. So, I mean, it's got a whole lot of juice for tomorrow night's game, and it should be a real good one. here, just before we get back to Minnesota, by the way, you can check Connor's tweet for this. Braden Yeager, Jet prospect, is the captain of Team Canada. He looked great, beautiful one-timer goal yesterday in their pre-tournament game against the Swiss. But I guess Arnie was asked about Braden Yeager and his opportunity to be back at the World Juniors, and this time with the C on his chest.
No, it's a great honor to be captain of Team Canada. And, we talked when he left to go back to junior after training camp here, and that was one of the things we had mentioned to him about not only his play going back there and being the best player on his team, and I know he got recently traded, but the other side was when he was going to get a chance to go play for Team Canada, that you're playing against some of the elite there in junior hockey or college hockey or from around the world, and try to be the best. And now to have that responsibility being captain, that's an honor, and something for him to kind of grasp and be proud of, and hopefully they have great success.
We'll certainly be all over that next week when the tournament gets going on Boxing Day, and we'll, of course, when we're back on the air with the regular show next Friday, a week today, we'll be able to break down Canada, Finland, and get the latest from the tournament. Look at our pal T. Will. Merry Festivus to everyone. Let the airing of grievances begin. Hashtag worst first place team ever. T. Will's hilarious. Thanks, buddy. Best of the season to you as well. Having some fun in the chat with some of those that are just putting coal in all the stockings here in the WST chat today. But it wouldn't be Winnipeg fans without a few that are not too happy, despite what happens when you look at the NHL standings. A little bit more from Arneil though, and this is I think it was, who was it? Was it Larry? No, Charlie Horse in chat. And listen, I'm not going to deny this. There's been some ugly starts to games lately. Both of the games on that road trip were very, very underwhelming out of the gate. Charlie Horse says, so do we finally bury the sleepy first period syndrome tomorrow? Charlie Horse, great question. Scott Arneil was asked about the slow starts to games recently. Here's what he had to say on that.
It's no secret that I don't know if you guys have seen the standings. We are number one in the league. I don't know if you noticed that, but teams are ready for us, and they're coming out hard. We have talked about it, and we do need to be better from the start of games ourselves. We got to get up. We can't wade into games. We can't chase games early and maybe rely on our goaltenders to make big stops. We have to be better. That's an area that we do need to improve on, that we have to get out of the gate early. We did it against Boston. I think that was something that helped us in that game. You're just going back a couple, but at the end of the day, if you give teams momentum, teams are prepared for us, and we have to make sure that we come out and make it a little bit easier on ourselves. If they're expecting us to come out and play like a top team, let's do it, and maybe we win a hockey game in the first period like we did earlier in the year.
Okay, Remis, that might be the best Arneil quote of the entire season.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard this, but we are in.
Can you just play the start of that again?
Yeah, sure.
We need a clip of this.
It's no secret that I don't know if you guys have seen the standings. We are number one in the league. I don't know if you noticed that, but.
Oh my God, that is so. You know what? Good for Arnie. Good for Arnie to do that. Oh my God, that was absolutely classic from the head coach. And listen, despite all that, I mean, it hasn't been perfect. You can always get better, and I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to need to be and want to be a heck of a lot better in the first period tomorrow against a team that's going to be hungry to come out of here with 2 points, and they'll need to be at their best to win.
Yeah, here I'm just confirming, just doing a little fact check here, going to the NHL standings. Sorting by points, yeah, there they are, first place Jets. Now they do have a couple games in hand on some teams, which helps with the raw point total. But hey, sorting by points, they are in first. That is accurate, but you got to get off to a good start, Huss. And I do think there is something being said with teams like San Jose and Anaheim, saying, hey, we need to bring our A game to this team, and it's up to the Jets to counter. We did see San Jose bring it to Colorado for 2 periods yesterday, but unfortunately, Colorado pulled away in the third and was able to win 4-2. But I think the slow starts, you don't want to be behind. It seems so many times this year, Huss. They're starting down 1-0 and they're able to come back. So, we'll see if anything changes. They've had a couple days at home. You've talked about it on Saturday, but something to note moving forward for sure.
One more from the coach, and that is a bit of an injury update. No Stan and Gus at practice today, and when might we see Dylan Sandberg back on the ice? Here's Arnie.
Gus just sick. Stan took that shot off his foot, so he won't be. Should be okay to come back after Christmas, but he won't be in these next 2.
And then quickly, why do you think you've had so much success against the Central this year, out of the gate?
You're jinxing everything here. You can't be throwing that in.
I don't have that power.
No. It goes back to the original question with Kelly there. The familiarity, the sort of contempt that you have, there's that, how important those games are. The way the playoffs are set up. You've got to obviously, you don't want to have to go around the back way and come back in. If you can get in your division, that's the best part, the best way of doing it. Home ice advantage, all those things. So I know that's for game after game 82, but for us, winning in your division, being good in your division, because you see those teams so often, those are big points.
All right, so there's Coach Arneal, and I don't have the division record right in front of me. I will tell you the Jets have been very good at home this year, 11-3-1, looking to go 12-3-1 tomorrow, and still 12 wins on the road, which is number 1 in the National Hockey League as well, 12-7 away from Canada Life Center. But it is, and we'll get into this with Jessi Pierce. The Minnesota Wild haven't beat the Jets in 2 years, Reem. A sweep last year, and potentially bringing the brooms out for the regular season series against the Wild if they can get that win tomorrow, which was surprising considering how competitive Minnesota has been.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising that Jets would have such a great record. I think Minnesota around the holidays, and I think of getting beat down on Black Friday, but I think it's just scarred. It's just scarred in my brain from that. But they've been good, and the record at home 11-3-1. I think that's pretty good as well. So we'll see what Jets team shows up on on Saturday, because I was reading some comments here, and they say, hey, it's kind of been up and down for the last month or so. The first when they went 15-1. You knew what you were going to get every night. I think they've gotten a bit away from that. And, we'll see now that they're, finally home and you got an extended.
I believe they're not 15-1 in every 16-game segment.
Yeah.
What did we expect was going to happen?
Well, I think this is going to be a big January coming up. It's big January homestand. You got all these teams coming in here that are going to be shell-shocked by this January weather. Here, look how many games in a row that they have. You got L.A. coming in here, Vancouver, Anaheim on January 2nd. You think these teams know what it's like here in January? So
they're not ready. They're not ready.
This is for all we talked about how crazy the schedule was before in November, December. I think this is equally as crazy. 3 straight weeks at home, so many games. This is going to be exciting. So a big month coming up.
I will say this, of any time in the calendar to be at home for 3 weeks,
this is horrible.
Probably the least beneficial, but I think it's going to be a slog for those teams coming into Winnipeg at this time of the year. And listen, I just kind of mentioned the Jets are right up there with the best home records in the entire National Hockey League, and if they can continue doing that in the month of January, they'll be in a really, really good position heading into the Four Nations break coming up in the month of February. We're going to have Murat join us coming up right away. Christopher Matt asking, was that crystal clear Pepsi? No, they were out of Diet Pepsi at Sev, so I actually went with Mountain Dew, and you can see it doesn't show up very well.
Oh, is it green?
In the WST studio, yes.
Oh, yeah, it's green. Oh, that's cool.
So anyways, we'll get to more Jets talk coming up with Murat in just a moment. Let me remind you, again, we were kind of mentioning Braden Yeager. Cannot wait for the World Juniors to get going on Boxing Day. Christmas is coming up, and you still have time to get in for Hockey Canada's ultimate 50-50 draw, the biggest power play yet. Now, there's 3 draws. The first one is on December 26th for the first game of the tourney. The second is on New Year's Eve. And the third one coincides with the final on January 5th. Now, there's a different draw, a unique draw for each province, which is great because when you buy your tickets, you'll be competing for the prize with other Manitobans. 50% of that prize will go to the winner, and the other 50% goes to grassroots hockey initiatives here to grow the game right inside Manitoba. So it's certainly a great cause. Everyone wants to get in on the big 50-50 draws in and around the World Junior. So it is open right now. Go to hockeymanitoba.myshopify.com. Get your tickets. You got options to go from a single bullet, 1 ticket, all the way up to $999. And again, supporting Hockey Manitoba, grassroots initiatives here in Manitoba. And good luck to everyone supporting the draw and getting tickets. Might be a good little stocking stuffer for the family to go in with some of those. And then cross your fingers for the first draw coming up on December 26th. The link is in the description as well of this video coming up as well. Hey, by the way, Ken 007, thank you so much for the super chat, Ken. Happy holidays and New Year, guys. Thanks for another year of information, entertainment, and engagement. Ken, greatly appreciate that. And of course, we will not be gone too long, but we have a holiday special starting on December 24th at 1, which I know you're going to enjoy. We'll have that up over the quick little break, and then we'll be back on the 27th, and then shows the following week on the 30th and 31st, heading in to the new year. Before we bring in Murat, big happy holidays to the folks over at Rolly's Transfer. Listeners, if you have a move planned in 2025, trust it to Rolly's, family owned and operated for over 60 years, the most trusted name in moving services in Manitoba. And the Rolly's gang will give you the white glove treatment with your next move. And the best way to do that and get a great deal is go to Rollies.com, click on the request an estimate feature, and put in the promo code WST for a exclusive discount for Winnipeg Sports Talk listeners on moving services and moving supplies. Let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to go, and the friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly with a great quote to get you locked in and planned ready to go for your next move. Over 60 years, trusted by Manitobans, and they'll do it for you as well. If you're moving in 2025, find out more and request an estimate today over at Rollies.com. As we get ready for some last-minute Christmas shopping, Manitoba Battery can help you give a Christmas gift that matters this year, folks. You don't want your loved ones stranded in the cold with a vehicle that won't start. Make sure they're equipped to handle whatever winter throws at them this winter with the NOCO 1000 amp booster pack for only $139.50, or get them a set of 25-foot booster cables for just $65. And fellas, you might want to treat yourself to a great deal as well and grab that ice fishing flasher battery you need, or that sled battery that needs to be replaced, all for the best prices in the city. Let Manitoba Battery help you give a gift that matters this Christmas. Learn more at manitobabattery.com or pop down and see them. 2 locations in Winnipeg, Logan Avenue, and of course the new spot in Dovercourt on the south end of the city. And hey, if you are thinking clothing, men's clothing for 2025, you know F Apparel has for years been Winnipeg's #1 option for custom men's clothing, made to fit, looking amazing. And right now, if you want to give the gift of F Apparel, check this out. 15% bonus on all gift cards of over $100 or more. So whether it is for accessories, whether it's for a new suit, whether it's for some custom shirts, you get a 15% bonus on any gift card, which makes a great gift at this time of year from our friends at F Apparel. You can pop down and see them and take advantage of the offer at 190 Smith Street downtown, or Go online, check out everything F has to offer, and get that gift card bonus right now online at F, that's EPH, apparel.com. All right, we'll check in the Twin Cities a little later on, but right now, heading into the holidays, let's welcome in our pal Murat Atesh. Murat, best of the season to you, my friend. How are you?
Hey, best of the season to you. Saw that super chat come in. Happy holidays to all. And yeah, man, I'm doing well. Just got home from the rink, feeling nice and toasty and cozy with some new Jets news, I guess.
Yeah, I guess a little bit of news today. Logan Stanley banged up. He won't be in the lineup for the next couple games. Opportunity for both Colin Miller and Ville Heinola to get in, probably play a couple games today. And David Gustafsson on the mend as well with sick. There was some optimistic news, though, on Dylan Sandberg we got from Coach.
Yeah, it sounds like he could be skating as soon as the 27th, which is soon. It's the 20th today, so that's not so bad. Arniel kind of gave it one of those we'll sees, or like that's the hope kind of qualifiers at the end of it. But I don't think Dylan Sandberg can come back soon enough for the Jets. That's a situation where credit to Hayden Fleury for stepping up and handling what he can handle within that top four role. But Sandberg is the player for that spot, and the numbers on the ice with Sandberg have been great. That's a boost the Jets are looking forward to. And then also has the interesting thing, and I think we've all sort of assumed this because of how we've seen the lineups deployed and all of that sort of stuff. But when Scott Arniel was talking about how important Dylan Sandberg is, he talked about everybody who gets more minutes. And Hayden Fleury he talked about, and then he talked about how Logan Stanley got more minutes as a result of the injury and how that's necessary, and how guys like Heinola and Miller will also get more minutes. I've always put Colin Miller a step ahead of Logan Stanley on my internal depth chart, but kind of listing him in the order that he did and the way that he put it together, it seems like Arniel actually, in consistency with the minutes he's given, has had Stanley as the consistent number 5 in his brain as well.
It seems that there is a pretty clear top 4 and then a clear group that is not top 4. And Dylan Sandberg certainly is in that top 4. And listen, he can't come back soon enough. It will be really interesting, to see how this team lines up in the new year if everyone is healthy and Sandberg is back. I guess they took a step forward on that to clearing things up a little bit with Dylan Coghlan, who'd been hanging around all year and only playing in the one game. But this competition is still very much alive. And I would suggest that tomorrow and Monday against the Leafs, an absolutely huge opportunity for Ville Heinola in particular to kind of maybe step up and show all the reasons why people have been high on him that they maybe haven't seen so far during his time up with the Jets this year.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he'll have the chance to play on his strong side. I'm assuming he's going to play with Colin Miller, so he'll be on the left. Miller will be on the right. That's a good start. He'll have Colin Miller, who's a veteran player, sort of there to make some reads that probably Logan Stanley doesn't make. I hold Colin Miller as a stronger positional defender in his own zone, so that might create some opportunity for Heinola to jump into plays or at least have some insulation. And he's also, he's been in a tough spot, just in that he missed so much time and then came back in, and now he's fighting for his job. It's a tough. He hasn't had a ton of runway. Well, now he'll have that, right? He'll have something closer to a proper amount of runway to put his best foot forward and hopefully show that he's ready for, a pairing that honestly on paper looks good to me. I think Heinola Miller, if everybody's playing at their best, put Sandberg back up with Pionk. That's probably your best bottom 4D available to you right now. And Heinola gets the opportunity now to show that, hey, I'm not a maybe. That's actually the job that I should have, despite the ongoing battles in every respect for that spot.
Well, and the thing is, he's going to never mind Logan Stanley. Hayden Fleury's going to be there. And I think it's pretty clear that Hayden has done a good job early on in his time with the Winnipeg Jets and showing the coaching staff that, he is an option for them. And I think certainly based on what we've seen happening with Sandberg out, it's pretty clear that if everyone is healthy right now, I think Hayden Fleury's probably that guy on the left side of the third pairing.
Hey, fair play to that. Yeah, I sort of left him out of that. And they're not going to bump him from the top 4 to the press box. That doesn't quite seem in line with how they've handled his minutes and their belief in him. And I think they're being realistic too. Like, yes, Hayden Fleury gets rolled out for some major minutes, top four with Neil Pionk, but I think they're well aware that that pairing hasn't been nearly as good as the Sandberg version of it was. At the same time, you step into that role like Hayden Fleury has done. You are a gamer like he's been. He makes the best of it to the extent of maybe his ability and recent experience. It's been ages since he's played these kinds of minutes at any level. You've earned a lot of respect from the coaching staff. If they didn't think that he was doing the best version of it possible, they would have pulled him right off ages ago, and you might have seen Stanley or Heinola or somebody else into that spot. So, pecking order-wise, I think you're right on that, which just adds one more defenseman to the supposed rotation and one more element of like, hey, are Logan Stanley and Ville Heinola running out of time to show what they can be at this level? They have the depth that they don't have to play them if they don't want to.
No, and I think that, certainly with Stanley and to an extent Ville Heinola, I think they're in right now. I keep going back to the conversation we had with Kevin Sawyer. I mean, I think you can certainly make an argument that on most nights over the last month, the team is not necessarily putting out the lineup that you maybe would if you absolutely had to win. They're giving these young players, and again, somewhat young players. Logan Stanley's not that young anymore. Ville Heinola is getting on, an opportunity to show that they belong and what that they can do. Part of it is the injury to Dylan Sandberg, and that just goes to show that, when he comes back, there's a limited amount of time to be able to get in, and, putting your best foot forward and making things happen when you're out there is certainly key. And certainly we've talked a lot about Logan Stanley and, some of his struggles at times, although the team has still put up a very good record with him in the lineup as well. Specifically for Ville Heinola, 2 massive games for him coming up, knowing that Stan isn't going to be in there. He'll be on that left side. He'll be playing with Colin Miller, and it should be a good chance for him to show what he can do, and hopefully for Ville's sake, earn a little bit more trust and put him more in the conversation for some regular playing time. Murat, what would you make of the 2 games in California? Obviously, a real dud against the Ducks, and they did manage to dig themselves out of a hole. The power play can erase a lot. It did that in the second period. And then all of a sudden it looked like they were going to do it again, being up in 5 minutes. And then a complete turnaround late, a couple mistakes. And next thing you know, you're not even getting to overtime. That coming off that San Jose game the night before. Where are you at just on those 2 games? And then we'll kind of talk about the bigger picture heading into Christmas.
Yeah, those 2 games weren't good. Well, I can say that pretty straightforwardly. It's great to have a team that is of such quality that, you can have magical plays from the top line or the power player or whomever that, maybe against the grain of dominance or against the flow of play to a certain extent, they can just about pull both of those games out of the hat. Like that's something that's available to the Winnipeg Jets. And the Jets continue to be in first place despite going 5-4-1 in their last 10. I guess there's some perspective needed when talking about how they haven't been particularly great this last while, in that they continue to be, some teams' awful stretches is they drop 5 in a row, they drop 6 in a row. Winnipeg's tough stretch is they're 5-4-1 in their last 10. That's okay. But at the same time, we can't really point to California and say that they were great in either of those games. And I think that even there should have been a little bit of caution coming out of the game that they did win, heading into the one that they lost. They're not handing shifts off like they used to early in the season. You're not seeing Scheifele dominate in the offensive zone, and then Nemestikov's line dominates in the offensive zone, and then Lowry's does right after. This was a thing that happened for the Winnipeg Jets for a large part of the season. It's been a while now since you've seen that kind of consistency and that excellence. And against the California teams, who each have something going for them, probably particularly San Jose with some of their exciting young players, you expect the Winnipeg Jets, top of the standings, to be able to do more with that than they did. They certainly gave away enough goals via their own mistakes, including the game winner. And you just don't like that. You know that they need to reset to a much higher quality of play and make a few less of those mental errors to give themselves a chance to stay atop the heap.
I would expect and hope that a visit from the Minnesota Wild, who are hot on their heels at the top of the Central Division, would almost be a perfect time and a perfect opponent to ratchet it up a little bit. And as Scott Arniel said, maybe get off to a bit better of a start, something that's really been lacking, certainly in California, and a little bit more if you kind of go back over the last month.
Yeah, it happened in California, and California wasn't the only place. You find yourself looking at the shot clock at the first intermission, and it's like 16-3 or like these types of scores against the Winnipeg Jets. At least there, they've been giving up goals. They've not been getting onto the front foot. And, the Winnipeg Jets are a really good hockey team when they happen to the other team, when the game doesn't come to them, when the game doesn't happen to them or impact them against their will, when they're instigating, when they're forechecking hard, when they're back-checking hard, when they're winning battles and then getting onto the attack in waves. They can't really sit around and think their way through a game particularly effectively. I don't think that that's the Winnipeg Jets' strength. And sometimes you see them almost staying in games via a moment of spectacular play. Connor Scheifele, who named the player, they've done it as opposed to leaning on teams. And the starts are an enormous part of that. Minnesota Wild are a quality club as well and can pounce on a team that hasn't started well, or if they don't. We've seen that over the ages as well. And they're also a team with a bit of bite, a bit of snarl, and a bit of history against the Jets where it's not always the cleanest game in both directions. And if you can't get up for that, I mean, that's an issue, especially after an extra day off, which Winnipeg has had the luxury of having, a travel day and then a practice day, which they haven't in a long time either.
Now, let me ask you this, and it's been a topic that, has been talked about quite a bit on this program within the chat and people hitting us up on social media. Obviously, the Jets had that great start. You knew that wasn't going to last forever. They've still managed to, right the ship after that 4-game losing streak. I mean, the record is what it is. They had the most wins in the National Hockey League. They're in first place in the Central Division. But I mean, I think we all know that assuming that this team makes the playoffs, which is what you have to do first, and nobody's done that yet, I'll remind everyone. The season will be determined by how this team performs in the playoffs. How much of what's happening right now in your mind will affect what happens in the postseason right now? Or is this just the middle of a super long season right now where it's about getting wins, it's about finding out, knowing what you have, moving into the trade deadline, and, for the Winnipeg Jets that earned their spot, trying to stay there?
It's funny. In my mind, as you're sort of posing that question, I found myself having a thought that, like, if I think it through, I might argue with myself. But my hot take was not at all. Zero, zilch, like absolutely not. The Winnipeg Jets hurdle is the same that has been for the last several years. It's like when the going gets tough, when teams ratchet up their style of play, when teams cheat back checks less often, as you see rounding into January, February, and March stretch run and playoffs. Well, what kind of team can the Winnipeg Jets be? Can they play that relatively mistake-free hockey that takes such mental resilience even when exhausted? Can they lean on teams in the hardest parts of the season in ways that they did early on? And we've seen them, set a literal record for best start this year. They've been at the top of the standings in January last year. They were at the top of the West in January the year before. But it's been that second half where the quality and style of play begins to resemble playoff hockey more. You've seen them come undone. You've seen them find their game too at times. And then in the playoffs, they haven't lost a game and then won anything after they've lost even one playoff game against Vegas or Colorado. So in the ultimate story of the Winnipeg Jets, the Dragons that they have to slay are still ahead of them. And it's hard to believe that what's happening here in December is going to have an impact or win them a playoff game or provide the lesson that does so. At the same time, January hockey does come with some influence from December hockey. They have to play a certain quality of 5-on-5 structure. They have to have their special teams going. They have to have Hellebuck and Comrie going. And to the extent that today can prepare Winnipeg for tomorrow, there is some influence. I just think that when you and I are talking in the summer, I don't know that we're going to be pointing to December and saying, well, that's when whatever happened in the playoffs really happened.
I guarantee you we won't be. I mean, I laugh about a lot of the narrative right now from a certain part of our chat right now, talking about, this is just the same team. It's the same thing that's going to happen. I mean, I will remind everyone, do you remember where the Oilers were at this point last year?
Struggling. We wrote a panic meter piece about them. But I got to say, Huss, I wrote the paragraph about the Edmonton Oilers at this time last year when their record was brutal. And I said, there are too many signs of quality. There are too many ways in which this team is elite. So sometimes you do know. Yeah, well, and listen, I mean, when you have that sort of firepower on that team, you realize that there's just no way you can be that bad for that long. I guess my whole point is that, what matters right now is your results, because every one of these games counts the same as the final week in April when you might really need it. But again, I think part of the reason why everyone was so fired up going into the postseason last year is the Jets were on an 8-game heater at that time and couldn't lose to anyone and blew the doors off Colorado Avalanche, and we all saw what that meant. So, to me, and this is something that we're going to get to in the holiday special with one of our special guests that I've talked about before, kind of going into this season at the beginning of the year, is that you need to learn from your losses, your defeats, your shortcomings. I mean, that is what makes teams successful. That's what makes people successful. Failing and learning from those failures to make you better. And as I said, regardless of what happens when we get to April, assuming that the Jets are in a playoff series against another very good team in the Central Division, I would suggest that probably the way the team's playing going into the playoffs has a heck of a lot more to do with where they're at right now. But at the same time, it can't just be whatever. We're going to go and not play well for a bit. I mean, it is a focus. And this goes back to, I think, the strength of Arnie early in the season with what the message was while they were winning all these games. It's all about the next one. And, for the Jets, micro right here going into this weekend, it's about turning the page from a couple of underwhelming performances that will happen to every team over the course of this season and get ready for 2 big games going into the Christmas holidays that if you win, I think you'll feel very good about where you're at. And if you come up short against Minnesota and Toronto, you're right back at it trying to find where you feel you should be, and you've shown that you can be early in the season coming out of the break. Well, players are people with feelings, and the difference in those feelings heading into the break with a pair of wins versus a pair of losses, that would be an enormous change in vibes in terms of what they're sitting with. I also say, to your point, it reminds us all that we need to pay attention to process and not results. We can't do this dance where they win and they're amazing and they lose and they're awful and they win again and, oh my goodness, Connor's going to score 55 and 55 is going to score 50. We can't do that with a real true sense of a rational, clear-eyed view of this Winnipeg Jets team. And I was thinking about that when you talk about the 8 games they rattled off to close last season. Sometimes I forget that they did that. And part of that is because the process was so-so. Yes, they won 8 games. Exactly. They weren't dominating in a playoff-style quality of hockey all the way through that. They weren't bad. They didn't give us signs, I think, that they would be just crushed by Colorado. I'm not trying to say I saw that, but the process matters. And when you have nerds say, well, look at the underlying numbers of this or that or whatever, sometimes that's just an attempt to look at the big picture of something. And in an effort to not declare them cooked after a loss or declare them, there was an odd divide, let's say, even after the game they won in California, where half of the online discourse was about how great they were because of the great goals they scored, and half was like, wait, that was actually a bit of a dog's breakfast of a game despite the win. And I think overall, this team is pretty good. They missed Dylan Samberg in a big way. They missed Nikolai Ehlers a little bit. They have greatness available to them, but I don't think they're nearly as quote unquote bad as their 500 hockey right now. And I honestly don't think that they're one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the NHL either, despite the start that they had and the record that they have even still. It's a very good team with a chance, and I think that that's an all right position to be in.
Well, and this is, I mean, listen, I completely agree with you on that. And I think part of the conversation, why I think kind of making these blanket statements about what right now means for the playoffs is an absolute fool's exercise, is the fact that we all know if this team is going to be a real Stanley Cup contender, this team is going to look different by the time we get onto the other side of the trade deadline. We can touch on that for a minute. I mean, in the spirit of Christmas, we're all looking for gifts under the tree. Based on what we've seen so far, and if you want to include playoff performances in the last couple of years, I think that's very fair. If you're Kevin Cheveldayoff and you're putting together your Christmas wish list, or more accurately, probably a wish list for 2025, based on what we've seen so far, Murat, right now, with the goal of being a better playoff team and having success in the postseason, what's on Chevy's wish list right now as we look ahead to the next stretch heading into the new year?
Yeah, I mean, I have a paragraph about this coming up in tomorrow's Athletic, which talks about the ghost of Dustin Byfuglien past. It's a little bit Dickensian, so let me mention that in case that seems like something you're interested in. But I think that probably what Winnipeg has missed is that two-way pain-in-the-ass type of player who can bulldog to the front of the net, who can protect their own front of the net. And that's probably in the top 6 forward group and in the top 4 defense group. So if you want to swing big, and Winnipeg has probably earned that right, they have cap space. Among contending teams, they're in a great cap position, actually, this season. That's something to note. But if you can find a top 6 forward, ideally a center, or a top 4 defenseman, ideally a righty, who can do the job that you ask Logan Stanley to do, but also do the job that you used to ask Dustin Byfuglien to do, which is impact the game in terms of where that game gets played, dominate those physical battles, win your zone, win your minutes, create some offense, put the puck on dangerous player sticks, all those sorts of things. I mean, my wish list is, I don't know, a Mackenzie Weegar type player, a Chris Tanev type player, Matthias Ekholm type defenseman on the Jets blue line, just a tough as nails, two-way top 4 defenseman who can impact offense as well as defense. And not just in the fancy stats way, but if you go to the front of the net when they're their way, it's going to hurt. Like that, I think on the right side on the Winnipeg Jets blue line would do wonders. We've seen what the Jets look like without Samberg. I think you need a right-handed Samberg clone, and you'd be probably with even more puck skill. That's the wish list. And then up front, it's kind of the same guy, but a center. We praise Vladislav Nemestikov and the impact that he's had. We saw what happened with Monahan when it sort of slowed down the top 6 forward group. If you can find somebody who is truculent, skilled, and fast to keep Winnipeg moving quickly to play in that top 6, I think you got to add him to the wish list as well.
You know, the coming out of the Boston game, team toughness was a big topic. And again, this kind of goes to Logan Stanley in a lot of ways, who I think they've always thought was going to be that guy that would support Adam Lowry. And, you know, you can argue whether that's happened or hasn't happened right now. I mean, I know you deal a lot with numbers and with analytics and things that we can measure. Is there any way to measure whether a team is tough enough or whether they're ready for the grind of the opponents that they might play? I mean, I really feel like the Panthers are the measuring stick in the league right now. And not just because they won the Stanley Cup last year. That's a big part of it. But inevitably, when you get to the postseason, you're playing against teams that are incredibly skilled. They're fast. They check off all those boxes. But that level of nasty that they bring to a game seems to be something that certainly seems to be impactful come playoff time, especially in these 7-game series.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you look at that right now when, in big picture of this team, trying to project it to the postseason, which will be so important? How do you know if you have enough? How do you know if you're ready to get that? And if you don't feel you do it, what are you looking for to add, and at what expense to the rest of your roster that has been putting up wins?
You know, I think one of the sillier things we do in hockey discourse is we wait to see who wins, and we say what they were doing was always going to be the best thing. So, like, how do we know if the Jets are tough enough? We wait, we see what happens in the playoffs, and if they don't win, well, then they were fragile. And if they did well, then maybe they did learn the lessons, right? Like, it is that kind of sport in terms of how we talk about it. At the same time, though, players have styles, right? We see that. Yep. And like, if I could just airdrop A quality onto the Winnipeg Jets, you admire the way a Kyle Connor or a Nikolai Ehlers or a Mark Scheifele generates their offense. You admire the Velardis and Perfettis, and you look at the fact that they genuinely have a ton of talent. They outperform their opponents, and are probably, as a result, like, there's lots of studies that say how you play in the regular season is actually, despite hockey being chaos, it does predict the playoffs a little bit. It's not just you throw out the goons and all of a sudden you're winning. I do think the Jets lack, a quality that everybody lacks. I was going to say a Matthew Tkachuk type player, but even in their middle six, there's Nino Niederreiter will be a truculent player, Adam Lowry as well, but I want that player a little bit higher up the lineup. I want Blake Wheeler in his prime. I want even like an Arturi Lehkonen type player, a Valerie Nichushkin, to use the Colorado Avalanche from last year. And I don't think the Jets necessarily have that. I see when shifts hit the fan against the Winnipeg Jets in recent seasons, like, what is that X factor that they can fall back on to take things over? And I think that maybe they do defer to skill a little bit, and they have a ton of it. You'd understand why they would do it. I do, if we're guessing at the Winnipeg Jets, think that that's the number one thing you'd want to add, like Nazem Kadri at his peak. That type of player that isn't just a fourth line or third pairing, and I don't want to say plug because that's a disrespect to some of the greatest athletes in the world, but somebody who will genuinely impact the game on the score sheet as well as with those intangibles. You mix those two together, I think Winnipeg's missing that dynamic, and probably has been since Dustin Byfuglien was a Jet.
Yeah, I think that would be right up at the top of Chevy's wish list. I don't think there's any doubt about that, and it is a much more difficult thing, I think, to really quantify, and to quantify how it works within your team if you're bringing a player in, how they connect with the guys that they'll be playing with and what they bring to it. But it'll certainly give us a lot to talk about moving forward. What was on your Christmas wish list? New bass, maybe some strings going on. What you have a long list for the 25th, Murat?
You know what? I got a gift that I didn't even expect or have any, like, while we're talking music and all that sort of stuff. I can't help a little plug, but my friend JP Ho is a musician in this city.
Oh, he's so good. Holiday season is
the
JP
JP Ho holiday show is tonight at the Burt, or the Walker Theater, if you still call it by its old classic name. And I got invited to do a little cameo. So
no way.
If you're at that show, and I know I've talked to Jets fans about this before, I might wander on the stage at some point.
If that is a fun party. How long? He's been doing that for probably 10 years.
I asked him, and he sort of couldn't remember exactly the number, but it was in the high teens. It was like 18 or 19. He's got a 20. Like, it's crazy. It's a staple here.
Well, it is, and JP, unbelievable musician and fan and a listener of this program. He sent us some messages in the past, so geez, we may have to rejig the plans for tonight, Murat, and get down to the Burt for what should be a heck of a lot of fun. Listen, to you, Haley, the entire fam, I hope you have a great brief holiday, and we got a great game tonight. We got that Monday afternoon one, and then right back at it for two big home games. My favorite week of the year often is the week between Christmas and New Year's. Inevitably, most people are off or barely working. Tons of friends that maybe don't live in Winnipeg anymore are back here. And going to the games in between Christmas and New Year's, you're guaranteed to see some folks that might not normally be at the rink that are back there. And as I say, hopefully the Jets can do their part to keep the spirits up during the holiday season with some wins on home ice heading into that unbelievable homestand for the first 3 weeks of January.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. And yeah, all the love to you, to Remo, to your Sunday morning crew, that show, everybody. Yeah, it's been another great year. Pleasure to be with you here. And yeah, all the best in the new year as well. Can't wait for the next one.
Good luck tonight, my friend. Hopefully we'll see you later on, or hopefully we'll see you over the course of the next week or so. Thanks so much for doing this.
Right on, Hess.
Good stuff. All right, there is Murat. Always fun catching up with Murat. And the JP Ho Holiday Hoedown going down tonight at the Walker. Listen, I did not realize that was happening tonight. But a cameo from Murat bringing the bass out. We've watched it so many times in the background when he's visiting with us talking hockey. I think we've just officially changed our plans tonight. All right, we are going to get to some NFL talk with Hacksaw a little later on. We will do the marble race. We'll have a clip from one of our guests of the WST Holiday Special, which will premiere on Christmas Eve at a regular time of 1 p.m. and be up for the 3 days that we're off. So stick around on that. But a Christmas visit from one of our faves coming up right away. Let me quickly give a big happy holidays and thanks to the great folks at Princess Auto for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Of course, proudly founded in Winnipeg, headquartered in Winnipeg, now coast to coast, and with 3 Manitoba locations to serve you with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around, everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start some new ones in 2025 is waiting for you at Princess Auto. Of course, you can pick up gift cards for some last-minute deals and last-minute gifts. And, of course, you can also check out everything they've got going on at their website at princessauto.com. Pop by and see them, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, Brandon location as well. Shop online 24/7, 365 at princessauto.com. Hey, speaking of, there's the party downtown tonight. Of course, we've got game tomorrow night, and people will be doing stuff afterwards. If you do need to hit the Manitoba Liquor Marts, folks, and you've got whiskey lovers in your circle or at your event, make sure to check out if they still have any remaining quantities of the Canadian Club Classic 18-year-old high proof. The well-known, smooth, well-balanced taste of Canadian Club Classic, carefully aged in the first ever 18-year-old whiskey they produced, bottled at a higher proof for a full-body tasting experience. It just won gold at the 2024 International Wine and Spirit Competition. This was released last month, a one-time only release, $79.95 at your local Manitoba Liquor Mart. So whether you want to bring it to a party, you want to entertain friends, maybe a gift for the whiskey lover, don't miss it because it'll be gone before you know it. Canadian Club Classic 18-year-old high proof, available right now at your local Manitoba Liquor Marts. And hey, speaking of happy holidays, a huge thanks and shout out to our friends at Wallace & Wallace for their continued support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. They, of course, are the fencing and overhead door specialists in town. If your property needs the security and protection of a new fence, whatever you need, vinyl, ornamental, welded wire, chain link, wood fences, they've got it, and they've been doing it since 1946. But you might not know they're also the leaders in overhead garage doors with the largest selection in town. So if you need a new garage door heading into the new year, you'll get one to perfectly match your home and add value to it at the same time. Give them a call, 452-2700. The Wallace & Wallace team will arrange a time to come out and give you a free estimate. You can also visit them at wallacefences.com or pop down to their showroom on Lawson Crescent off of Kenniston. All right. It is season's greetings, season's beatings tomorrow night. We'll see what happens between the Jets and Wild, but it's not the holidays, and it's not a Jets Wild game without a visit from our good friend Jessi Pierce, one of the Bardown Beauties. Jessi, best of the season to you. How are you?
You as well. I am good. Minnesota in action tonight. How come Winnipeg always tends to get the Wild on a second half of a back-to-back? Seems very helpful to your guys' advantage.
It's definitely fixed. I mean, it is some sort of a league mandate that it has happened. Yeah, I can't remember what the scenario's been earlier on this season. I didn't realize the Wild were playing tonight. We kind of caught that yesterday on the program, and it's nice because the Jets have had. I mean, they had that insane run where they played 15 straight games in different cities over the course of, really ever since they had that great start to the season. Now some more home cooking coming up, but it was sort of the other way around. That, they found themselves playing some teams rested, and you would think it all evens up. Listen, before we take our respective sides and talk about this hockey game tomorrow, let's all come together in the spirit of holidays. And I got to ask you about the Minnesota Vikings. How fired up are people around there about the Vikes? I was at the Atlanta game a couple weeks ago. I mean, Sammy Dart's going for 5 touchdowns. The most fun I've ever had at US Bank Stadium at a game. And then that Monday nighter, albeit against the Bears, another big win heading into Seattle. I mean, I know the Wild have been flirting with first place, but who could have imagined this magical season for Sam Darnold and the Vikings right now, right there battling at the top of the NFC?
It's insane. And, the Vikings have this tendency to do it behind quarterbacks that have zero business helping them do it, right? Like you're going back to 2017 and it's wild. It's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, the pieces are there for Minnesota. You have Justin Jefferson. You've got Hawkinson that's back in play. Aaron Jones has been doing exceptionally well. And then Brian Flores has the defense rocking on all cylinders. So it's fun. It's insane. It's something that nobody could have predicted. I think I predicted like 7 wins on the Vikings season. I mean, just looking at the schedule and again, behind Sam Darnold. It's just absolutely unreal. It's certainly going to make that matchup at the end of the regular season against the Detroit Lions an extra fun one. Detroit, obviously, their big foe in the division. So I'm excited. It's been a fun season. It's nice to keep an eye on them. I think us as Minnesotans are collectively holding our breaths, waiting for the other shoe to drop because Minnesota Vikings tend to really break our hearts. It's not good enough just to lose. They're going to do it in a heartbreaking fashion, which I'm sure will still be the case.
Well, I mean, it has just been an unbelievable story. And KOC, I mean, the job that he does with quarterbacks, I think is huge for the franchise. I mean, that's why Danny Dimes wanted to come here and would sign to the practice roster. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that can turn around the fortunes of a quarterback better than Kevin O'Connell. And the fact of the work that he's done, and Sam Darnold deserves a ton of the credit too for balling out the way he has this year, has really changed a lot of the narrative around this team. And we had Matt Collar on earlier this week talking about it. And, I was listening to his program and some of the shows in the Twin Cities when I was down there. And you have to start having this conversation about, I know this was just a 1-year deal and a stopgap measure, but I mean, look at where they are. How do you not potentially work on bringing Sam Darnold back?
I mean, you got J.J. McCarthy just waiting, and it wouldn't be a terrible situation to have him hold off another. Yes, he can be the future, but Minnesota doesn't know what to do. This is a very rare occurrence when things seem to be aligning and going their way for the Minnesota Vikings franchise. It's a good problem, but one that we are not used to having. So definitely going to be interesting. Sam Darnold, good for him, though. He's going to get paid. He deserves to. And it's been astounding that he's never been this starting quarterback, right? Like he's never been able to do this. So the fact that he's been able to keep it up, find that consistency, find his groove. And I just love the risks that he takes a lot of times too. Like that's a lot of fun to watch. Like, yeah, huck that ball down. When you got a receiver like Justin Jefferson on the other end of that ball, it's probably going to end up okay in your favor. So I'm loving it. Sling it, Sammy. Exactly.
Oh, well, in these final 3 games, you got Seattle and then Packers and Lions and then playoffs. So you can count on a ton of support from north of the border for the team in purple. Not quite as much for the visitors tomorrow night. But I'll tell you what, I mean, it's a juicy holiday matchup. They're always fun when these teams play together. I would imagine there's probably some Wild fans from the Twin Cities that are off work that'll be making the trip up to Winnipeg tomorrow, which should make for a great atmosphere in the building. But hey, these teams have been battling for first place for the better part of the entire regular season. Where the Wild at right now, I mean, like the Jets, it hasn't quite been the scintillating play of this first bit. And, they have some losses mixed in, but against some of the top teams in the league. I mean, you look, they've won 2 of their last 6. A real tough one to the Florida Panthers the other day. The Golden Knights are no easy out. The Oilers are there. The Kings have been playing really well. What have we learned about the Wild right now? Or is this just a team that right now is undermanned because of injuries that's just having a tough time competing with some of their biggest tests on the schedule?
Yeah, I think it's easy to hit the alarm button, right? Like, oh no, we're going same thing as last year. You're getting all these injuries. Philip Gustafson, Joel Eriksson Ek is still out. Jake Middleton is out for an extended period of time. I mean, those are some key guys that are down. Matt Zuccarello finally returned. Jonas Brodin finally returned. So you're getting some help back there. But in general, it feels different. There is just a different context around these losses. I mean, it's the first time all season that Minnesota has dropped 2 in regulation back to back. That's how good they've been. That's how good they've been able to bounce back and through that adversity. I mean, you go back to that Edmonton game, which was a trouncing, and yes, it's Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. So what do you expect? But that felt very uncharacteristic, which I think is the good thing. Minnesota isn't going to have those now. The other night against the Florida Panthers, I think that one, there were some very big mistakes. There were a lot of problems. And again, you have Jesper Valstead in there who did okay, all things considered, right? So, I mean, it's Minnesota trying to navigate the injury bug, which is going to happen, but it doesn't feel as detrimental as it has in the past, right? So I think Philip Gustafson was on the ice today. He will not play tomorrow. So you're probably going to get Marc-Andre Fleury depending on how things go in St. Paul tonight against the Utah Hockey Club. But I think Minnesota's weathering the storm just fine. It just has this different sense, this different vibe about them where they'll be able to figure it out because that's what they've done so far all season, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Speaking of Gustafsson, needless to say, we talk about Connor Hellebuck a lot here, and he's got 20 wins on the season and is, focusing in on a third Vezina trophy. Gus has been amazing this year for the Minnesota Wild. I mean, you can maybe speak to just how good he's been this year, and then what does this goaltending tandem look like when he's not around?
Yeah, it's funny because the beginning of the year, if you recall, it was a 3 goaltender situation. They had kept Jesper Valstead on the roster. The plan was to have him maybe platoon in because, frankly, I think there wasn't a lot of confidence in Filip Gustafsson. It was really make or break time for him. They had signed him to a contract extension last year for 3 years because he was coming off such a great performance. And then last year, nothing. It was a big, disappointment, frankly, if you will. And this year he came in shape, focused, kind of back to that Filip Gustafsson we saw 2 years ago. And he's really manned the net. He's taken over that starting job, which was the opportunity that was presented to him first last year. And now this year he's doing it. Now it's unfortunate because we don't get to see Marc-Andre Fleury nearly as much as we would love, as he is on kind of his farewell tour of his career. But Fleury, when he does step in like he has the past couple nights here, he's been good too. But really, you do notice how much Minnesota is missing Filip Gustafsson. He is making, hard saves look easy. He is just on his game. He did join the team in morning skate for a little bit today. So he's progressing. He's getting closer, and he looked good. It's a lower body injury, which is always extra concerning when it comes to goaltenders. But I think he's going to be back to tip-top form once he does finally make that return. So he's been everything. He's been everything that the Minnesota Wild have needed him to be, and he's going to be that great kind of tandem with Jesper Valstead starting next season.
Jake Middleton is a guy that seemingly has a bigger role year after year with this Wild team. It just struck me now that I think about it. He's the only Wild player that scored this year against the Winnipeg Jets. I'm pretty sure he had the lone goal in the 2-1 loss at the beginning of the year, and then the 4-1 loss in St. Paul was also Middleton. How long are they going to be without him, and how big of a hole does he leave in the lineup?
It's huge. I mean, and it's incredible to look at the journey of Jake Middleton, right? The last overall pick the year before Connor McDavid was selected, which is a joke that he makes quite often, that he was picked one before Connor McDavid. Yeah, he was the last overall, and didn't really get a whole lot of looks in San Jose. And ever since he's come here, he's continued to step up. And that started last year, obviously without Captain Jared Spurgeon in the lineup. Him and Brock Faber paired up to just eat the minutes and do some really incredible things. So it hurts. He's been put on long-term injured reserve, which means a minimum 10 games and 24 days. Now, luckily, the break coming up here for the holidays counts. So you're looking at him hopefully getting back early January, or at least be eligible to get back. But yeah, it's been tough on the blue line for Minnesota. I mean, you're looking at some AHL guys having to step in. You still have your Brock Faber. You still have Jonas Brodin. You still have Jared Spurgeon, which is great. But the rest of it is kind of hodgepodge together depending on the evening. And Declan Chisholm, who you guys are familiar with, has put together a nice little season again this year as well. But yeah, it hurts. And I love that he scored because his favorite player is Nicholas Lidstrom. And so when he scores, we get to call him Midstrom. So that's always been a fun thing. We definitely miss Jake Middleton. Hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. And hopefully he gets back to the plane. He was playing at such a high level this year once again. And so you hope that returns once he returns.
I'm just looking at a video the Wild put out of just some interview with Brock Faber, and it's just unbelievable to look at me. He looks like he should be going to an accounting class at 10:30, and then you see what he looks like on the ice. He's going to get a taste of best on best with the Four Nations, but scary incident earlier this week when he took that puck to the throat. I wasn't sure whether he'd be good to go, but from all accounts, as good as new. Be there tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, he spoke with us today after morning skate, and he said he was lucky the puck hit him on the right side of the neck versus right in the Adam's apple, but definitely a scary situation. He said initially it was very difficult to breathe. The adrenaline's running. Luckily, he said right now it just kind of feels like strep throat. So he's got a little bit of a raspy voice, but you can't even tell physically from the outside that anything is wrong. But definitely a scary situation, especially considering from the playing element, you need a guy like Brock Faber, but even more so from the person standpoint. He's just a great human being, just a down-to-earth guy, a local Minnesota kid, which we all know and love. So a scary situation. Glad that he's okay and glad that it couldn't be much worse.
Murat of The Athletic was just on with us, and we were talking about the ups and downs of the Jets season so far. And, in the spirit of Christmas, talked about what would be on Kevin Cheveldayoff's wish list, not necessarily for the 25th, but into the new year. Based on other than health and getting a few of these important players back, if you pump some true serum into Bill Guerin and looked ahead to these next couple months, what might be on his wish list as he tries to add to this team to make them as tough and out for the rest of a stacked Central Division and Western Conference come playoff time?
All I want for Christmas is a defensive zone face-off win, because the Minnesota Wild seemingly can't do that ever. That's all I want for Christmas. My goodness. And that's even more problematic when it comes to the penalty kill. They have to figure out a way to solve that. It is absolutely atrocious. They've tried some different personnel there. And again, these injuries are not helpful. You're without Joel Eriksson, who is a prime player on that. But it all starts with the face-offs. They were actually working on face-offs the other day because I kind of called out John Hines and I said, what is going on here? Like, you guys can't win a face-off to save your life. And that's, speaks to the lack of depth up the middle that Minnesota has constantly battled with. I mean, they really don't have that true number one centerman. Joel Eriksson is as close as you get. And Marco Rossi does his part too and has been doing tremendous on that top line between Kaprizov and Boldy. But in general, I think they need to look at the center position. They need to figure out their special teams, because as we all know, special teams are everything when it comes to the playoffs. And if the Minnesota are struggling that bad during the regular season, they're going to have to figure that out. And if I know Billy, I do know he loves size. So he is going to want some more size, whether that be on the blue line, whether that be, in the top six. He's going to be looking for a player that has some size to him, because that's just what he likes to have. And the Minnesota Wild are a smaller size team, right? You look at Matt Zuccarello, you look at Kirill Kaprizov and Marco Rossi. I mean, there's not a lot of size there. So I think that's another top of the wish list for Bill Guerin.
Hey, without Jeek in the lineup, Marco Rossi's in between Zuccarello and Kaprizov. I was looking at Chris Johnson, who kind of put together, the first sort of trade target board. And I was surprised to see Rossi on it. Is this a guy, an asset that they might think of moving? Are they sold on him? Does he get a long-term contract? I mean, where is he at right now? Obviously, he's got a great opportunity to play with Kaprizov. But, where is he at right now? And does that come as a surprise to you that potentially a player like that could be out there on the market at some point this season?
It's tough. It's a really tough situation with Marco Rossi, because you look at what he achieved even starting last year, where last year was a very much a make or break season for him. He was selected 9th overall for a reason, and people were eyeing him as a bust. Now, he obviously had health related issues, in regard to COVID that he had come back, but he really dedicated himself. He has done everything that the organization has asked of him in order to assert himself into this lineup, to get himself the opportunity to be that top centerman up there. I think you look at it from the perspective of he is valuable. So I guess if you are going to trade anybody, now would be the time, because you could get something very good back for him. Now, Wild fans hate to hear that, because they love them some Marco Rossi, and obviously he's been very helpful in the lineup and very producing as well. But I think Bill Guerin does always take the calls. He's not a guy that's going to shy away from moving certain pieces. And you look at a lot of the other players on this roster, most of them are locked in with no moves and no trades, and you're not going to be able to get a lot of them to waive those. So Marco Rossi has that eligible. I think if anything, you look at maybe a bridge deal, just because I think sometimes Minnesota does have more questions around him. Is this something sustainable? So far in 2 seasons, I would say yes. I think Marco Rossi is the player that they projected him to be, but I think they want to know if there's more and what they could possibly get in return. So his name, because he doesn't have the protection, I think is a big reason he's associated with trades, in addition to the value that he brings as well.
Jessi Pierce is with us. You can check out the Bardown Beauties podcast wherever you get Winnipeg Sports Talk, and you can also check out her work at NHL.com. Before we go, and again, very happy holidays. Are you ready for Christmas? And what is the insanity like around the Pierce household over the course of the coming days?
Oh, it's certainly not helpful when you're in the midst of a 5-game homestand of all things too, right? Like, my goodness, I'm trying to get all the shopping done. I've got a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old who obviously think everything that they want, they will be getting. My oldest asked for a tree house, and I was like, Santa's sleigh's not that big. Like, we got to think smaller. So he went with a Rubik's Cube, which I love. No, I'm excited. I love the holidays. I geek out. We got some snow yesterday, so we're going to have a white Christmas after all, which was very odd to be in December with no snow here. I'm excited. I love it. We get a little break here. Minnesota's last home game is on the 23rd, and then they're gone for a bit before they come back, so we'll get some good family time in while we can, that's for sure.
Listen, Jessi, thanks for everything this year. We always love having you on the program. Despite your Minnesota ties, you are very popular somehow with our listeners. They all wish you well, but to you and your family and the Wild fans, we wish you the best, and should be a real fun one tonight, or tomorrow night, I should say, here in the Peg in downtown Winnipeg. And I wouldn't be surprised if a few of those Wild fans make the trip up now that the holidays are officially here to take in a game and follow their team on the road. It should be a lot of fun.
Looking forward to a good one tomorrow, Huss. Have a good holidays yourself.
Oh, by the way, check out your notifications tomorrow during the game. We've got it's one of our games of the month, so we've got a big Winnipeg Sports Talk crew. And I have been informed, I have not seen these yet, but I have been informed that one of our peeps is coming in a special festive-themed Ryan Hartman costume.
Oh boy, I can only imagine. I can't wait to tell Hartsey about this too, because he'll love it. I
will make a point of tagging you in that, or we'll fire you something out so you can see what the gang here is up to before the festive meeting of the Jets and the Wild.
So good. I'm sure Wild fans will have a nice rebuttal for you guys at some point too. I can't wait.
You're the best. Have a great Christmas.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. There's Jessi Pierce with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. It should be a lot of fun tomorrow night. Looking forward to the game. And, of course, getting together with so many of you for some holiday festivities for the Winnipeg Sports Talk crew. All right. Well, you know what? I've been talking about this, with Murat, with Jessi, about the GMs. Let me put this to you all, because I know there's, in some corners, some angst. Other people really fired up with what the Jets have been able to do so far this year and looking forward to the new year. But you can put your own GM cap on right now. And if you had your list for Santa and your Kevin Cheveldayoff, what's at the top of that list? What's the number one gift you want to see the hockey team get heading into 2025? Let us know in the chat for our Why Not question of the day for our friends at Not Autocorp over at Waverly and McGillivray. We'll get to some of your answers coming up in a few minutes on Fans First fan feedback. Hey, it's Beer Friday. Hacksaw is coming up in just a minute. This is a great time to give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
Day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
Yeah, I have a feeling there'll be a few 1919s or generics enjoyed by the WST crew tomorrow up in Section 316. We're also going to pop by a little Boston Pizza. What better place to get ready for a Jet game and catch the National Football League than your local Boston Pizza? Tomorrow, I'm going to try and catch the first half of that Steelers-Ravens game at Boston Pizza City Place, and then meet all of you up in the Michelob Ultra Lounge on the Portage Avenue side of the 300 level before we take over Section 316 and hopefully see the Jets whoop them and sweep the Wild for a second straight season if they can get that win. Don't forget, though, if you need some last-minute Christmas gifts, great sale right now at BP. Buy a $50 gift card, get a $10 bonus card, and if you're searching last minute, you got a long list or need to give a whole bunch of things to people at a company, if you buy $1,000 or more, you'll get an additional 10%, which works out to a 30% bonus on gift card orders of over $1,000. And of course, BP is a great place for a last-minute holiday party as well. You can try that new holiday menu in the dining room, have a casual party in the sports bar, or have the BP catering team set up and serve at your office. Of course, NFL all day, Saturday and Sunday this weekend, and the big game tomorrow night. If you're not making it out to the game, the next best place to be to watch Jets hockey is your local Boston Pizza. And speaking of Christmas shopping, if you still have a few unchecked boxes on that Christmas list. Take care of them all with one trip to Royal Sports. And Royal's busy right now, as it should be, heading into the holidays. I got a chance to talk to Greg last night from Royal, and he showed me all of these cool, new, exclusive Jets hats that I hadn't seen before. Those are all up and ready to go. So if you have a Jets fan, exclusive hats you won't find anywhere else. Jerseys, hoodies, hats, you name it, they've got it. Bomber gear, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, NBA, international soccer, skate sticks, and more from the biggest hockey department in town, and tons of great gift ideas like Herschel and Yeti brand products over on the King's Skate, Snow, and Surf side. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway, and you can follow them on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. All right, let's before we bring in Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, let's get to our fan feedback for Fans First. And again, in the spirit of Christmas, we were wondering what is on your Christmas wish list for the Winnipeg Jets. And we've got some great ones. Jay Miller wants Kapari or Barron to score a goal for a change. I'm sure that's exactly what those two guys are hoping for Christmas too. Some red lights. Sklardy is talking Mackenzie Weegar. Les Thompson, a big mobile right-handed defenseman. Tico Napoli, listen, I don't even need to see it in all caps. I know he's looking at some tough guys. Who would that be? Kadri and Anderson, that's the dream. Or Nelson and Mayfield from the New York Islanders. The Barflies want some cojones. Roger Delorme wants Cousins and Byram from Buffalo. Oh, I can't imagine what the price tag on that would be, but wouldn't mind seeing those guys in Jet uniforms. Anyways, keep on giving in your fan feedback. Brought to you by Fans First, the number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market with no fees, period. What you see is what you pay, and certainly the best spot if you're a season ticket holder or have extra tickets for a game. If you need to get rid of them, Fans First, the best place with the best customer service to do that. Check out the website, fansfirst.ca. By fans, for fans, no fees. All right, we got a marble race coming up. We've got Coolbet lines, NFL, college football playoff as well. But let's bring in, for a holiday visit on Winnipeg Sports Talk, our good friend Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hacksaw, what is up? Best of the season to you, my friend.
How are you, Hustler? Happy holidays to you as we head towards Christmas. Had one of your members from the O Canada Club join my podcast yesterday, and I challenged him to tell me what the temperature in Winnipeg was and to do the computation between Celsius and Fahrenheit. And he didn't have enough eraser on his pencil because he kept making mistakes, adding, subtracting, carrying the one over to the other side. So how are you? It's winter up there, I guess, eh?
Yeah, it is. Although we are going to have a beautiful week next week, just below zero for Christmas. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, these next couple days, we kind of get through it. We got straight up Arctic last week, just in time for the Vegas Golden Knights to come here for a couple days, which was sort of fun. But we're getting through it. The Jets still in first place, although it didn't play very well down in your neck of the woods on the on Wednesday against the Anaheim Ducks. Big game tomorrow against the Minnesota Wild. So we're all fired up for that. And of course, listen, I mean, just being sports fans, what a weekend of pigskin coming up. I mean, what's your take? We never really talked about this college football playoff. Where are you at? Are you excited that it's now gone to the 12 games? We've got a big one tonight. Canadian Curtis Rourke going up with Indiana against Notre Dame. 3 big matchups tomorrow, and then we'll get to the final 8 next week. I mean, we know there's a lot of money involved. Good for the sport. Lee, where are you at on the college football playoff?
My left hand says, boy, we've had some great matchups in college football during the course of the season. And my right hand says college football is in terrible chaos with the transfer portal, NIL payments, everybody tampering with everybody else's players. Coaches are quitting left and right because they can't stand the atmosphere that they have to operate in. You have to recruit your players, play your players, teach your players, and then re-recruit your players so they don't go somewhere else on a payday. It's really disastrous down here. That being said, obviously we got some great games started, by what's going to happen in Indiana tonight between the Hoosiers and Notre Dame, and then obviously what's going to transpire tomorrow highlighted by Clemson, Texas. Surprise game, Tennessee, Ohio State. I think the Volunteers could upset the Ohio State Buckeyes. And if that happens by Monday, we might be talking about the Buckeyes coach getting fired. And then, obviously, the other big game, SMU at Penn State. And this is the best athletic Penn State team I think they've had in decades there. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. But we're really bothered stateside here by what has happened with all the court cases and the malfeasance of the NCAA to control this, to take better care of the players. And now they're at the other end of the spectrum where it is so out of control with the amount of money that's being paid these guys and the tampering that's going on. It's just really terrible for college football. Athletes deserve to have a revenue stream, but not the way it's being done right now. So NCAA is going to ask for an antitrust exemption from our Congress. If they get that, they're then going to get control of the NIL and the transfer portal. Do you know how many college players went into the portal last week when it opened? Get this, 6,600 college football players applied in the transfer portal in about a 5-day span.
Lee, this is like professional sports if people could only sign 1-year deals and everyone's a free agent every year.
It'd be utter chaos. And not everybody can transfer and be a star. Not everybody can transfer and get paid. It's horrific what has transpired here in the last 24 months. And there's so many named veteran coaches who've just walked away. Highlighted by Nick Saban in Alabama. When did you ever think he would walk away from the dynasty he built in college football? So it's bad. But the games going forward, they're going to be fun this weekend for sure. And then if that's not enough, we got a full menu of NFL games too. And we started with a wild one last night.
Well, speaking of, just quickly before we get to last night's crazy game between the Broncos and Chargers, while we're talking about this and a lot of college coaches want to get out, Bill Belichick's going in. And I know we touched on it last week, but it seems like a lot of his ex-players have something to say about this move. What are you hearing?
Well, all kinds of things. Lawrence Taylor is actually going to go to work for Bill Belichick down at North Carolina where Lawrence Taylor played. He's going to be kind of a point man working with the general manager, Mike Lombardi, the former NFL executive, who is now Belichick's point man on the business side. And LT is going to be involved with that in terms of recruiting. It was interesting, Tom Brady, who has gotten progressively better and better and more outspoken as a TV analyst here doing NFL games this season. And we started the season, man, he was raw. To quote a Belichick-ism, he needs lots of reps. Well, Brady's gotten better, and Brady's started to get a little bit more opinionated. But he said he was a little surprised that Belichick did this because, head coach in the NFL handles everything, but he handles them on his own terms. But Belichick has to deal with the media, has to deal with boosters and alumni, has to deal with presidents, athletic directors, board of trustees. And then, by the way, Belichick's got to deal with the recruits. And Tom Brady said, that'd be strange to have Belichick in your living room recruiting your son, the quarterback, because Belichick's not warm and fuzzy. So that's going to be interesting how this goes. Mike Lombardi said this was the first week for Belichick on campus at Chapel Hill. It was like shock and awe through the athletic department. People were shocked that he was there strolling the hallways in Chapel Hill, and people were just in awe in the staff meetings listening to him talk and philosophize about what his blueprint for the football program is. So going to be interesting going forward. Somebody asked me, I was on a different talk show this week out of the East Coast, and I said, if it was my kid was a right tackle, my kid was a safety, I'll send him to Belichick, because Belichick will teach him about life and teach him about football, maybe get him ready for the NFL. If not, get him ready to graduate and then go into the business world. So we'll see if Belichick wants to do this long term, but this is an eye-opener for him because it is a different environment.
Lee, let's get to SoFi last night. And, man, you want to talk about a tale of two halves. I mean, the Broncos just going up and down the field in the first half. Looked like they were going to run away with the game. And then they went to the room at halftime. And for me, Lee, the game completely turned 180 on the unnecessary roughness penalty on Justin Herbert, who was sliding on a third down, 4 or 5 yards short of a first down. They would have likely kicked a field goal. They instead get a first down. They get it in. They get the ball back. They get another one. And then both the offense and the defense never turned around, and they absolutely steamrolled the Broncos in the second half.
Yeah, a whole bunch of things happened in the course of the game. You can say the Chargers won it, but I think Denver gave it to them. You know, Denver committed three major stupid penalties. Now, Sean Payton, he didn't have a meltdown on the sidelines, but he probably did after the game. You know, but it's an issue of you teach your players to play on the edge and be aggressive and all that. Well, Denver stepped over the line 3 times. They bumped a guy trying to make a fair catch. That led to a 15-yard penalty, which then led to the how do I say this? It led to the 57-yard free kick field goal. I've been doing this my whole life. I've never seen a free kick field goal in the NFL.
1976 was the last time that had been successfully executed in the league. Crazy.
So that was one stupid penalty that opened up the floodgates. There was an incident that happened in the Charger locker room at halftime. Harbaugh did not talk to his players. His captain, his safety, Derwin James, went into the locker room and told Harbaugh, we're going to have a players-only get-together. And he stood up in that meeting. This is what I was told that happened from another player. He stood up in the meeting after they got smoked in the first half. They'd given up 48 points in 4 quarters of football in a row. Looked like their season was going down the drain. And he stood there in silence, looked at everybody, and said, we are responsible for this bleep. You guys need to go out with me, and we need to own this and fix this in the second half. And they came out, and they played well. And then, of course, Denver continued to commit major penalties along the way. You mentioned the Herbert horse collar tackle. I don't know if you looked at the video closely. Herbert had his hands in the face mask of the guy trying to sack him. So that should have been offsetting penalties along the way. And then, of course, there was a near touchdown pass that Bo Nix threw to a receiver who was open, and the Charger corner kind of ran up his back and bumped them as they're going. That should have been pass interference. The officials are having a really bad year around the National Football League. I bet there are going to be some rule changes this year. There are so many big plays been impacted by missed calls, blown calls, wrong calls, etc. It was bizarre. You know, I thought your guy, Patrick Mahomes, your quarterback, I thought he had the patent on all this Houdini stuff when he gets out of the pocket. And here's Justin Herbert about to get sacked going down, throwing a left-handed shovel pass that winds up being a touchdown. Think about that.
Herbert was so good. Herbert was so good in the second half. And, you know, we really saw, like, listen, he hasn't had the success yet. And I don't think he's been surrounded by as good of a team. I think they're on the right track now with Harbaugh. They've got a lot of cap room next year. You'll start seeing some receivers added alongside the rookie phenom McConkey, and they are going to be a tough out. But, man, he really is the total package. I mean, we see what Josh Allen is doing right now with the Buffalo Bills. And, with that size, the ability to run the football, the rocket arm, I think Justin Herbert has the opportunity to kind of graduate into that upper echelon with Mahomes and Burrow and Allen and Lamar. But it's going to take some more wins. And, hey, now they're in the playoffs, and that is going to be a team that I think is going to scare whoever they play in the first round. Speaking of Mahomes, I kind of measure this, just from my own level of concern, knowing that he is the franchise. Coming out of that game last week against Cleveland when, he got nicked up, he kind of sprained his ankle or whatever. It's funny, I wasn't really that concerned. I assumed that he would play all along. And the only time I was kind of spooked was when I saw the betting lines open and the Chiefs were a 2-point underdog at home to the Houston Texans. Now, since Mahomes has practiced and will play, that is completely flipped. They're now a 3.5-point favorite, but he's never missed a start. This is a huge game. How do you think this went over in Andy Reid's coaching office about risk/reward and what the Chiefs have at stake over the course of the next 5 days with games against Houston and Pittsburgh and the number 1 seed waiting in the wings?
They got 3 games in 11 days, and now you got a gimpy quarterback. This Houston game is going to be really hard because the Texans are now totally healthy. C.J. Stroud and the offense is playing better, and they got Joe Mixon now healthy back at running back, and they got Will Anderson, the linebacker. They got 48 quarterback sacks. So I was a little bit surprised that they would risk this. But if Mahomes can hang in there, and if they can protect him, and if they can just run the football, and now they got Pacheco back with Kareem Hunt. So if they can pound the ball a little bit more, and just keep Mahomes in the pocket and do a better job in jumbo package tight end protections, maybe they shorten the game and then may get the chance to win. If they win, or if he gets dinged, and now you got to deal with the second situation. But the second situation is Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's, they're running out of players and they don't have a dynamic offense, and I think that's a very winnable Kansas City game. So this one is really important. And Mahomes is a tough guy, and but maybe they just refine him and keep him in the pocket, don't let him run around, etc., and then maybe max protect him and just try to play a ball control offense. Because Houston, one totally healthy, Houston's really, really dangerous.
Well, and considering the tackle situation for the Chiefs, they frankly should maybe be in max protect every damn play to take care of the franchise. Hey, one other big quarterback story this week. Kirk Cousins out as the starting quarterback in Atlanta. And with their season on the line, they're turning it over to Michael Penix Jr. for his first NFL start, Hacksaw.
Well, I think they've gone as far as they can with Cousins. He doesn't look like the same person in quarterback to me any longer. And I'll say something that's probably not going to get received very well. He's put up huge numbers in his NFL career. He's made a volume of money. But those are empty numbers because he hasn't won bleep in the course of his career. Not in big games, not in terms of the playoffs, etc. So, yeah, dude can throw for 3,500 yards when it doesn't mean very much. But, boy, I've watched him closely this year. It's like he woke up an old man at midseason. His last 5 starts, Hustler, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. He looks timid in the pocket. He doesn't move the pocket. He's late on his decisions. He's thrown into coverages. You say, why is a veteran doing that? I understand it if it's Caleb Williams, a rookie, making that kind of mistake. And they're wasting all this talent that they have around them. I mean, they got Drake London, and they got Kyle Pitts, and they got Bijan Robinson, and Algier. They've got a lot of people, and he just keeps screwing it up. So he has to sit. And that's a $120 million commitment that is now sitting. Penix is a great kid. He had 2 fabulous years up here in the Pacific Northwest on the West Coast in the Pac-12 with the Washington Huskies. He's athletic. He might be the second coming of Tua at quarterback. So they couldn't live with what they were doing because he kept making just fatal mistakes with the team. So it bears watching. He's not the only one who got sat. They sat Jameis Winston. They've given up in Cleveland, and they're going to start their 3rd-string quarterback because as dynamic as Winston is with a cannon for an arm, he just keeps turning the ball over. He's a machine. And Tennessee has evidently given up on the number 1 draft pick, Will Levis. He's got 12 touchdowns, 12 picks, and he's got 4 pick-6 touchdowns going the other way. And they're a mess in Tennessee. So we got quarterback changes here with a couple weeks to go on the season.
A few really interesting games. And I'll be honest, the Sunday slate, a little underwhelming. But I'll tell you what, Chiefs-Texans, obviously, I'll be locked in tomorrow. And I don't think there's a better rivalry in sports over the past 15, 20 years than the Steelers and the Ravens. And no matter how good the Ravens are with Lamar Jackson, Mike Tomlin and that Steeler defense continues to have their number 8-1 in the last 9 against the Ravens.
They are, but Pittsburgh is right now rather pedestrian on offense. And, I mean, Russell Wilson is doing everything he can, but they don't have a ton of playmakers. And, geez, you look at Baltimore's numbers. I did a look-see at the statistics, and Baltimore's numbers offensively are staggering. It's like 442 yards per game, and you got the MVP candidate. You got the running back of the year probably, and Derrick Henry to go with Lamar. You got the wide receivers, the tight ends are going to outgun you. I just don't see how Pittsburgh stays in the game. Now, Pittsburgh could be in trouble. Pittsburgh loses this one after losing this past week, and next week they're going to get Justin Herbert and the Chargers, or not. I'm not saying not the Steelers, but they're in a world of hurt right now because maybe they're stalling at 10 victories, and maybe this thing's not going to work out, and they might be a wild card team, but they might also be one and done if they have to go on the road. It looks like the Chargers, by virtue of their win last night, the Chargers are going to play the Steelers in Pittsburgh unless Pittsburgh totally collapses. And I just don't think Pittsburgh's got enough guns to help that quarterback.
Lee, before we go, best of the season to you and yours. What does Christmas look like down in San Diego for you? A lot of food and a lot of football?
Yeah, my house is a little bit different, a little bit weird. Both my sons live out of town on their own careers, and one is a priest. So he prays for the Chargers and the Chiefs and all that. So he's a priest, so he doesn't come home till after Christmas, Advent, all that. My other son flies helicopters and fights forest fires. So it's weird in our house, we don't celebrate Christmas till the 29th after they get here. So we only have them for a couple days because we don't get a chance to see them very often. But yeah, we got a lot of football. But we will open presents late. We will have a turkey much later than average citizens across North America. But it's fun, good time. Kids are off on their careers, and that's great too.
Well, hopefully you'll have time to jump on with us. We will be back on next Friday, heading into a huge weekend, the final 8 in the college football playoff, and the final playoff races in the NFL. Hacksaw, enjoyed the YouTube channel. Of course, I think you all know, but if not, make sure you're subscribing. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton on YouTube, podcast, and of course, the website. Every day, your best 15 minutes, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Lee, Merry Christmas, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
My pleasure. Happy holiday to everybody on the old Canada Network in the Great White North. We'll catch you next week. Have a nice Christmas. Thanks,
Take
Andrew.
care. There is our pal Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And as we've seen, marbles registration is open. Only 2 more marble races of the year to get your win in 2024. And I know there are a few former winners that are looking to etch their names into some of the greatest years in marbles history with a win today. We will get to that coming up in a few minutes. Let's get Michael Remis to join us once again. Remo, what is up? Pretty fun show. Mixing it up with Jessi. Great stuff with Murat as always. I think nice, calm, sane, nuanced takes on where the Jets are right now, not even halfway through their season. And, of course, it's not Friday without a visit from Hacksaw heading into another big weekend of football south of the border. You're muted. Ooh, well, looks like Remis a little hesitant to rejoin the show today. Not sure what's going on. No, we just got to get that mic set up. Looking at the chats right now, get in those marbles if you haven't already. Exclamation mark marbles. We will do that. And I do believe we've got a Christmas version of the marbles theme by the one and only Tristan Rivers Music. You know what? While Remis tries to figure out how he can rejoin us, let me just get right into the Coolbet lines. Now, I will tell you, the exclusives coming out of today's edition of the Lock Shop, our best bets are not up yet, but I can tell you that our partner parlay, I love these picks. Arizona -4.5 in Carolina. We're taking the Vikes -2.5, -3, but we'll take it to 2.5 against Seattle. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3.5-point favorites against the Dallas Cowboys. Expecting that one to come out after the boost in the neighborhood of around 6-1. And our house callers, our touchdown parlay, Dusty's got James Conner. Patty's on Justin Jefferson. And I'm going with Brian Thomas Jr. From the Jacksonville Jaguars. You will be able to jump on the house callers and the partner parlay in the combo cards right on the main page over at coolbet.com. Don't forget, if you haven't played a Coolbet before, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $300. Top games right now. Tomorrow, the Chiefs. I feel so fortunate that I wasn't fazed by Mahomes' injury and was able to jump on that early line for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs were an underdog in this game. They're not anymore. -182 on the money line to win, and the spread is now 3.5. That Steelers-Ravens game tomorrow, it sucks for the Steelers. No Pickens, who is the offensive target in the passing game for Russell Wilson. But again, it's hard not to just blindly take the Steelers +6.5 because of how tight these teams play each other each and every time. But the Ravens are laying 6.5 at home despite recent struggles against Pittsburgh. Other games, Atlanta with Michael Penix making his debut, 9-point favorites at home against the struggling Giants. Cardinals are 4.5-point favorites in Carolina. The Lions, the banged-up Lions, decimated defense. They're 6.5-point favorites in Chicago against the Bears. Battle of Ohio, Browns at Bengals, Cincy 9-point favorites. Tennessee at Indy. I'm not sure why anyone would watch this game other than maybe that they have a bet on it. If they do, that bet's at 4 for Indy. Colts minus 4-point favorites. The Rams traveling cross country to take on a Jets team that actually looked pretty good last week, offensively at least, against the Jags, for what that's worth. The Rams are 3-point favorites on the road against the Jets. This is a bit of a fishy line to me. I don't know why the Eagles aren't a bigger favorite against the Commanders, but they are 3.5-point favorites right now. I look at this number and I'm like, hey, wait a second, what am I missing? Because the Eagles have steamrolled everyone for the last couple months. The Commanders have really sort of fallen back to earth. The Vikings are 3-point favorites against the Seahawks. The Bills, 14-point favorites at home to the Pats. Jags Raiders, another real classic matchup on the weekend in Vegas. Raiders minus 1.5-point favorites. Niners Dolphins, two teams that both expected to be in the playoffs, who both won't be in the playoffs, are meeting in Miami. Basically a pick 'em. Dolphins minus 111 to win. Niners minus 105. Sunday nighters Tampa and the Cowboys. Tampa's 4-point favorites in Dallas. And then the Monday nighter, the Saints go marching in to the frozen tundra in Green Bay. Packers, a massive 14-point favorite. Still got a bunch of futures up there as well if you want to hit those before the weekend. And I will touch on quickly college football playoff tonight. Nathan Rourke's kid brother Curtis and the Indiana Hoosiers in the college football playoff. They're traveling to Notre Dame. Notre Dame 7-point favorites over Indiana. The other three games in the college football playoff: Penn State 8.5-point faves against SMU. Texas 12.5-point favorites against Clemson. And Ohio State now 7.5-point favorites against Tennessee. And one other thing I'll mention to you, we don't talk a lot of boxing, but a big rematch for the heavyweight championship of the world tomorrow. I believe this is going down in Dubai, if I'm not mistaken. But Usyk, the champ, the Ukrainian champion, against the former champion Tyson Fury. Usyk, a minus 137 favorite. No draw. Minus 139, no draw. Fury plus 118. If you want, a draw is 14-1. Usyk minus 137 on the three-way, and Tyson Fury plus 120. And they do have a 10% win boost on that fight. So if you're on that fight, you're making any bet, you'll just see a little 10% boost. Just click that when you're making your bet for a bit of a better number. All at Coolbet, waiting for you right now. Use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus on your first deposit if you haven't played at Coolbet before. All right, let's get Michael Remis in here. Are you able to return and join the program?
Yeah, I don't know. My microphone got unplugged or something during that, but I'm here. I'm good to go. I was going to say I was just busy reading up the rule book of what the heck a free kick is. As you said, haven't seen this since 76. The players didn't even know what was going on, Huss. Wild stuff. It
has been attempted, but it had not been successfully executed, since 1976. An ancient rule that dates back probably 100 years or so that never got taken out of the rule book. And in a bizarre set of circumstances, the Chargers got the opportunity and executed it. And I mean, man, you think about that game at the end. I mean, that field goal was massive in making it a 2-score game at the end of it after the Chargers got that late touchdown.
Yeah, and we were sitting here yesterday this time saying, we're on the Broncos, but it wasn't to be the Chargers. It seemed to be very Jekyll and Hyde, Hustler, and entertaining game last night, Thursday Night Football, and saw something never seen before. So hats off to Jim Harbaugh trying to make the Chargers relevant again in LA. I don't know if that will ever happen, but they're certainly in the playoff race as it stands now.
All right. Now, listen. Okay, so last call for marbles. We can kind of close that up, and we will get ready to drop them. Shout out to, by the way, our friend Scott Shipham and the folks at Shipman Associates for who have supported our hoodies for our winners. I actually saw Shippy last night out where we were watching the football game, and actually a real live winner of the marble race in the flesh, sporting the WST Marbles hoodie. It was great to see. But again, thanks again for their support. Someone will win a hoodie coming up in just a couple minutes. But if you missed at the beginning of the program, programming note for next week for WST. Monday's a weird day. Jets and Leafs are playing at 1 o'clock. I'm assuming IC and Kenny and Rennie will do their thing afterwards. So we won't do a show at that point going up against them. So what we're going to do is we're going to start it off early. 11 a.m. on Monday, we will do a show. It won't be as long as the normal shows that we have. But what we'll do is we'll break down the weekend. We'll talk a little football, obviously all the NFL games, maybe a little college football. And then we'll have a guest or two to set up the Leafs and the Jets. So there won't be a lot of time. There won't be a lot of runway for this show because a lot of the stuff that we'll be talking about will be dated by the time the Leafs and Jets drop the puck in Toronto. But it will give us a chance to kind of wrap the weekend, get ready for the holidays, get ready for the game, bring in a couple of other friends, and, of course, have you all do your thing in the chat. So turn your notifications on just to remind yourself. And Monday at 11 a.m., we will be live getting you ready for the Jets and the Leafs. And then on Christmas Eve, we're not going to do a regular show on Christmas Eve, Christmas, or Boxing Day. But we have put together a holiday special with a few of our favorite guys to talk about that I think you're absolutely going to love. We've got a great, fun conversation with one of Jets Nation's top expat fans in Brent Fitz. Talk a little bit about what he's been up to, doing a new album with Slash and watching the Jets on the road and some of his fun travels. We're also going to be bringing in a guy that's synonymous with the holidays because he, for a long time, has been calling the World Juniors at this time. And that, of course, is our great friend Dennis Bayak. Dennis is going to join us on this holiday special. And another special guest. Remo, drop the first clip that you've got ready. This is a little taste of one of our other guests for the holiday special that will premiere at our normal time, 1 p.m. on December 24th.
I know what I'm looking for. And I do. I watch them a lot closer. Like, if there's 5 games on and the Jets aren't playing, I'm flipping around. I'm watching all the games. As soon as there's a commercial, I'm flipping channels. So I'm not dissecting the other games at all like I normally would, especially if we're going to play an opponent in the next week or so. So I've been watching the games because that's my life, you know. And Judy and I sit here at night, we're watching hockey in Florida. But that's been our life, and that's the life we know, and that's the life we love. Do I watch the Jets a little closer? Yeah, because I know what I'm looking for, right? So it's a little easier.
Bones, Bayak, Brent Fitz, a holiday WST spectacular for you when you need a little time away from your friends and family. That is going to be premiering on the 24th, 1 p.m. The chat will be live when it premieres. But again, at any point on the 24th, 25th, 26th, you need your WST fix. We'll have a little bit of a different show, but great to catch up with Bones, Dennis Bayak, and Brent, and we'll wrap that, put a bow on it, and have that for you on Tuesday. And I got to tell you, Remis, I think people are going to really love this. I mean, it'll be a perfect kind of non-time sensitive way to crank out a little bit of content during the chat. It seems like everybody in the chat's pretty fired up about the return of Bones to WST.
Yeah, really exciting stuff. Not exactly the most time sensitive, but still get their perspective on what we've seen from the Jets in the pre-Christmas portion of the season. Bones and Dennis, and finish it off with a fun conversation with Brent Fitz. You saw him on the broadcast of the Jets Golden Knights, sitting with Eric Singer from Kiss. He's the drummer for Slash and his band Toque, playing here in Winnipeg at Club Regent on the 28th. But so many great stories with him. So you're going to want to tune in to this whole thing. Yeah, Dennis, how he gets all the names right at the World Juniors.
Yeah.
That was a very, very interesting. And yeah, Rick Bowness as well, and what he's been up to, doing a number of TV gigs, what he's seen from the Jets, the job Scott Arneal's been doing. So this will be fun. I don't know if you've ever done this. I don't even know what we've done in the past on Christmas Eve, but we're going to put this out, and it'll go live at 1. It'll be available on podcast as well. So this is nicely done, and it'll last. It's not going to expire, really. So you can listen to it until the new year, I guess, while you're doing whatever you need to do.
Yeah, well, listen, there's just going to be a lot of people that will be busy, but, might want to get their WST fix. So we figured we'd get some of our favorites. We'd wrap it, put a bow on it, and throw it on the channel while we take a few days off with our friends and family for Christmas. So that's next Tuesday, 1 p.m. And again, Monday's show, 11 a.m., wrapping the weekend and getting you ready for the Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs at 1 p.m. on Monday afternoon. On that, talking with friends, people, this game time on Monday is totally catching people off guard, Remis. I mean, normally a Jets-Leafs game, people kind of know, hey, this is a big one. It's kind of getting lost a little bit in the holidays. And for people that know that the game is happening, most of them, I don't think, have paid attention to the schedule and realized that it is a weekday matinee.
Yeah, we just realized it a couple weeks ago when planning our show, and maybe takes a little bit of the luster off of a Jets-Leafs. Usually it's on a Saturday or something, and everyone's watching it. But, I don't know, people got shopping to do, Huss. They're going to put finishing touches on getting the house ready. Or you're going to be at work slacking off. And what a way to do that than watching the Jets and the Leafs. So I see some people already saying that in chat. Maybe you're taking off a bit early before Christmas. So I'm excited. We'll be ending at 1. I'll be doing some other stuff while watching the game. So very, very.
We're going to end around 12:30, so I have a time to get to my favorite bar top and hook up with my crew and hopefully officially begin the Christmas holidays with a much needed and long awaited win against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Those have been few and far in between over the last couple of years by the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, there's David Asplin in chat. 100% I'll be slacking on Monday. I think I was referring to him who mentioned, I can watch this while I'm at work or something like that. So I don't know if the Leafs have done a traditional like Christmas or Christmas Eve afternoon game. We're going to have Nick Alberga from Leafs Morning Take. Maybe he can provide some more insight, and Mike McIntyre will join us as well. So we'll be like a little pregame show, little weekend recap. But we'll be here live at 11 and leading up to shortly before the game.
Yeah, 11 probably to about 12:30 or so. I would say we'll have a couple guests. We'll bang it out. We'll wish you all Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
You set up for our holiday special on the 24th with Dennis Bayak, Rick Bowness, and Brent Fitz. All right.
I was going to say, it's going to be the Jets and the Leafs, so I'm sure TSN will bring out all the big production for TSN 3. I think because the game is on TSN 4 for Toronto region or the Leafs region.
Yeah,
so usually they bring out the big guns for the Jets broadcast as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's not an Amazon game, by the way, for those of you that are wondering. Yeah. It's early, and I just hope that the Leafs and hopefully not the Jets are already thinking about their packed bags, hooking up with their buddies at night, getting into the holidays, and the Jets can maybe come catch one. It should be a great game. I mean, the one here earlier on, it was the game that I missed. We were traveling back from Vegas that night. But that was the Jets' first loss, the only loss of the season through the first 16 games of the year. So a little bit of payback going into a Christmas would be nice for that Monday afternoon game. But join us 11 a.m. on Monday for regularly scheduled WST a little early. We'll get you ready for that game as well. All right, it's marbles time. Let's do it. And hey, with the Christmas season here. Once again, Tristan Rivers comes through, and not sure if you remember this, but this is the Christmas version of the Marbles theme song to get us going with a marble race on Friday on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
It's a holiday, a time for celebrations night. Before you stop to treat yourself, there's something you gotta do one more time. For the whole weekend, with no one even on the line. Zero effort left to give, except a 2:45. One more time, it's time to do a marble race. No skill separating best to worst. Marble race, just type marbles with the punctuation first. Marble race, don't spam unless it's Oleg's victory lap. Marble race, you do your part, then that's a wrap. Ho, ho, ho.
Just kidding, that's lame. But we were all thinking that.
Set, go.
What a masterpiece by Tristan. And happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you, Tristan. Thanks for everything. That actually might be like, listen, they're all so good, and the original is the original, and it's still a hit every time we play it. But Reem, that Christmas video from Candace and the song from Tristan is just so damn good. It's a shame we can't play it more, but we will get it in this Friday and next Friday before the new year.
Yeah, apparently we've played that before. I don't remember it at all, but that one was really well done and hit the mark. So yeah, we'll play it this Friday and next Friday because that's really the only 2 times we can play it this year. But that was awesome. A lot of nice comments in the chat.
Yeah, well, definitely people are loving that. And listen, how about this one from Jet Oil Tom? As Arnie said about the Jets being in first overall in the league, I hope people know that we are listening to the best podcast around, LOL. Thanks, Hassan Remo. Jet Oil Tom, thank you. And thanks, everyone, for the support throughout the year. And again, it's going to be a fun week next week. You guys are going to love the special that we put together with Bones, Bayak, and Brent Fitz for the days that we're off, 11 a.m. on Monday, and then our regularly scheduled show, 1 p.m. on the 27th, a week today, heading into Jets and Sens, another one anthem game on a Saturday night on the 28th of December. All right, Remo, marbles time. Let's go. How many we got today?
I got to put you in. 227 marbles in the race. So
I love it. Should we put in Bones, Bayak, and Brent for their time and joining us on the show? And good karmic thank you to all of them for joining us on our holiday special.
Sure, we can put them. I'll put them in, that's for sure. Honorable mention to Braden Yeager, named captain of Team Canada. Kevin He got the big contract earlier this week, and I noticed how we've had a big jump, actually, in our views on YouTube of your post-draft interview with Kevin He. And on TikTok, I posted a clip of that as well, and that has exploded on TikTok. A lot of views recently.
Doing big things on TikTok, folks. You always knew that the time would come.
I'm a big TikTok guy. It's pretty incredible what you can do on there. So,
I got to change my algorithm on Twitter, on TikTok. I think I need to.
What are you getting?
Well,
You're getting a lot of hockey?
I don't want to talk about it. But
it's all AJ and Big Justice. I'm sure.
You know what? It is about 80%. And I will say this about the Costco family, because it's not just the Costco guys anymore.
Yeah, it's a family.
They are cranking out content by the day. And I don't know how many deals that they have right now. Good on them. They've been grinding all this time. They've now hit cultural relevance and are getting paid big time. The Rizzler's getting paid. AJ and Big Justice are getting paid. Mama Justice and Ashley are getting into the mix. Netflix had them do the promo for the Christmas games on Netflix in the States. My guy Big Justice was rocking the Chiefs hoodie. AJ was the Ravens. Mama Justice looking great, supporting the Steelers, and Ashley with the Texans. So, yes, the Costco universe is a large portion of my TikTok for you right now.
Cousin Angelo.
As much as I'm a fan, and I do like to bring the boom, I probably need a little more variety in that feed.
It's funny. I open my Instagram and I see like AJ and Big Justice talking about Sonic 3, the movie coming out. So yeah, they're taking advantage. One thing they're not doing is launching a meme coin and doing any crypto scams like Haley Welsh, the Hawk Tua girl who hasn't tweeted in 2 weeks, although broke her silence.
Tua.
Yeah, she broke her silence today.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she tweeted today. So if you didn't know, she launched a meme coin, a cryptocurrency that people bought up, and then I guess her and whoever organized it sold it all, tanked the value, and took all the profits. And I guess that is not necessarily street legal.
The old pump and dump.
Yeah, the old rug pull is what I've seen. So she made a statement today to contact your lawyer. I think I feel bad for her. I think she got in touch with the wrong people.
Oh, she's a sassy country girl that's hilarious, that got famous and because of one viral moment. And then I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. I have a feeling she got taken advantage of by some people around her. I hope she's back because
she's funny. Like she's
hilarious.
Yes.
She is hilarious. She's got big time star power. So hopefully we'll give Haley a mulligan, and she will be back. Hey, while you get that done, by the way, I just got a note from Pat. The parlays are up over at Coolbet. Cardinals -4.5, Vikings -2.5, Bucks -3.5. Ooh, and the guys were feeling generous today. A nice boost, plus 550 all the way up to plus 633. And our house callers, James Conner, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas Jr., from plus 692 to plus 795. I'm going to get in on those right now before the number changes. And wish you all luck if you want to ride with myself, Patty, and Dustin Nielsen.
A lot of jokes here in the chat about the Hawk Tua girl doing the pump and dump hustler.
Well, she does have some great lines. She does have some great lines. I probably won't touch those on this right now. But anyways, I'm a big fan. I've been worried about her, and I'm glad she broke her silence today, and hopefully that all gets straightened out. That being said, you have to be an absolute moron to buy the Hawk coin or any sort of new crypto product from someone that you saw on TikTok or Instagram. That, to me, that's kind of on you. Assume that everything is a scam in that world and govern yourself accordingly.
Yeah, whatever happened to personal responsibility when it comes to unregulated meme coins, hustler?
Yes, thank you.
Whatever happened to that? So, again, that's unfortunate. Here, I do have the track. I went through the tracks. I don't know if I've done this one, but it was really good. Dylan 70, who we've been using a lot of tracks of.
Yes.
World Chasing Beauty.
Ooh, I love it.
Yes.
And again, folks, this is one of two more chances in 2024 to win the prestigious and exclusive WST Marble Race Champion hoodie, sponsored by our friends at Shipman Associates. Thanks to Scotty and his whole team for that support. So what's the total now in?
230 coins.
230.
Not coins. I mean, sorry, I got meme coins on the brain. Marbles.
Sklarty, coming soon. The WST Husk coin.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm gonna get into that. I still don't understand it. That was why I missed out on getting Bitcoin early enough, because I didn't really know. I still don't really get it. And Connor, this is up there for the worst pre-Marble Race topic. You know, Connor is a hater. He's a hater of the Costco universe, which is really too bad. Although I think he actually loves them, but just, kind of you're younger, more impressionable, trying to keep that, that outward cool persona. Everyone really loves to bring the boom, Connor, and I know you do too.
Boo.
By the way,
I'm going to be bringing the boom this weekend. Boom.
You know what? Connor and Liz will bring the boom once again on Sunday morning with WST Sunday Live. And I know Liz is going to be back in the press box. Connor's going to be there. I think they'll probably pop by and say hi to everybody for our group as well before the game. But just because it's the weekend doesn't mean there's not more great content on WST. So grab the gang, Jacob, Liz, Connor, 9 a.m. Sunday morning. And Connor will bang out a little weekend review as well for you Monday morning. You can listen to that and then join us early, 11 a.m. on Monday before the Jets and Leafs at 1.
What if instead of a hoodie, Huss, we did give out Huss coin to the winner of the marble race? $, we'll do $HUS.
Okay, we're gonna work on that. You know what? That's another thing on our to-do list.
How do I make one of those? I know people. We'll get us. It'll be really scarce, and we'll digitally transfer it to the winner. That would be amazing, and someone would get one of one. Oh man, we could have started something there.
You know what? You're giving us some great ideas, chat. Yes, our WST meme coin coming in 2025. First thing that's coming, though, is this marbles race.
We already played the theme song.
I'm looking forward to this.
We played it like 20 minutes ago. Someone said the waiting for the marble race is like the last 2 minutes of an NBA game.
That's bad. T. Will had a funny shot in there. Grandpa's Huss and Remo. Back in my day, money was something you put in your wallet. I love it. And Eric, I'm bringing the boom tomorrow for season's beatings. Yes, the Jets need to bring the boom tomorrow against the Minnesota Wild. Can't wait to see you all there. Should be a lot of fun. And hey, if you do have tickets to the game and you're elsewhere, just intermissions. We're in section 316. We've got that corner bar there, the hangar, right outside that corner, which is the Graham Hargrave corner of the building. Pop up, say hi. We'll have a big crew up there having some fun and festivities, hopefully as long as the game goes well. All right, we've BS'd long enough. This is what the people are here for. Our last marble race heading into Christmas. Good luck, everybody. This is the world-chasing beauty from Marble Creator of the Year, Dylan70. Here we go. Let's drop the marbles heading into Christmas on WST. These are just, whoa, Wicked John. Bounce, just like that. I believe. Yeah, sorry, Wicked John. That's the fastest top rope, I believe, in marble race history. Now, what just happened there? Dennis Manuga, is he out? Or did he fall on something below? Yeah, Dennis is out as well.
He's out.
Oh, did I just see myself in first place?
Yeah, you're in second.
Whoa, this could be. I have never even been top 10 before. Frankly, not even close. Russ Lowen, Hustler, SK. Come on. Let's make this happen today. I need a win. To be able to break down my own victory is a dream I've had for a long time. Pretty and Pionk has caught me now. I'm in third. It's Russ Lowen, Pretty and Pionk, Hustler in all caps, right behind. I'm slowing down a little bit, but I think I'm still in second place. Russ Lowen, though, looking very, very good. Just at a great negotiation of that. Oh, I got whacked by that damn. I don't think this is going to be. Whoa, somebody just got thrown ahead. Who was that?
BMCB.
BMCB just got a very, very nice drop, if you will, to use a golf analogy. Hit it off the rocks and knocked it onto the green. So BMCB is in first place right now, getting a couple more tossed out. Here we go. BMCB heading into this globe. Russ Lowen and who's that other one? The SMA?
Yeah.
The SMA popping in there. The SMA now in second. BMCB also just still in the orb, not out. Is there any way I can catch up and get back into this group? All right, we've got some company. A big group right now. It's still just exhilarating just to see yourself right there in first, even though it was short-lived. BMCB, after the nice bit of fortune, is in first place. Jeff Bose, who I believe had that nice super chat for us earlier today. The Good Karma has Jeff in the mix, but BMCB is still the one to beat. We're now going through the cylinder. I believe this is the end. And BMCB, taking advantage of the very fortunate toss from one of the obstacles, ends up making it happen and winning today's marble race. Coops is second. Pretty in Pionk, number 3. JDSM 4. Doug Henderson 5. Larry with the 6th place performance. Nicely done. David D. Bones. Rick Bonus, 8th. Former marble race winner, Rick Bonus, 8th. Gintelligence. And look at Ross. You know, I'm up there in first place for a little bit, or second place, and I didn't even win our 3-way dance. We'll see what happens with myself and Bozeman with our normal one. But there it is, BMCB 68. Congratulations. I believe that's a first ever win. BMCB, send us an email, winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. Let me know what size you are for the hoodie, and we'll hook you up. And just after the holidays, you can probably pop by and make it happen for us. All right, let's see this. How far down did I fall? We've got your top 10. Derek McGoran. McGoran with a nice performance in 11th. Russ Lowe's in 12th. We go down. There's Russ Lowen. There's Joelle Lavoie. Brant Batters. Amy Weeb. I really fell off after being in a great spot. Ron P. There's Sklardy. Boba Jet. Wayne Bretsky. Dave Ramsey. There's Dennis Bayak. There's Amanda. Amanda still beat me after my great start. 51st. Although it's not Amanda that I need to beat. It's Bozeman. We'll see where he ends up in here. Marshall Caron. What's up, Marsh? He's 55th. And keep these coming here. There's Stacy S. There's Bozeman. Gosh, Shorn. I'm on a heater. I think I've got 3 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. There's my pal Todd Fertani. Saw Todd last night. What's up, Todd? The Herbster, former winner. Winnipeg Chaster, T-Bone. There's Tony B, Ryan Hendren, Running Man. Lucas Michelle. What's up, Lucas? Have a great holiday. Darth Skater. Luka Rabchak, Connor's little bro. Strong performance today. Getting through. There's Cruiser. Mike Lay, accountant to the stars. Frosty Winnipeg. T-Kona Polly. T-Kona. All caps Kyle. VR Montenegro and Northside Sandwich. Shout out to our EST friends popping in. There's Spency 5 Centsy. Will's World. Kibbins. What's going on? There's Matt Hyman. Sean Lishka. The Gitch. Just about at the bottom. And then, a number of individuals did not make it through. Wow, a fun holiday race. A great course. The World Chasing Beauty from Dylan 70. And that's it. Wow, one more marble race for 2024. And that is going to be a week today. Your last chance to say in 2024, my list of achievements included winning the Winnipeg Sports Talk Friday marble race. We will see you then for that opportunity. But before, busy weekend on the channel. Connor, listen, Jacob, WST Sunday Live on Sunday. Monday morning, if you got to go to work, we'll have the weekend update from Connor. Remo and I will go live at 11, getting you ready for a 1 p.m. puck drop between the Jets and the Leafs. And then debuting on Tuesday, 1 p.m., chat will be open. Our holiday special with Bones and Bayak and Brent Fitz. You're not going to want to miss it. And then the next regular show at 1 p.m. will be a week today. featuring Christmas highlights and the final marble race of the year. Fun show today, Reem.
Yeah, really fun. Friday's always a good time leading into the weekend, and looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow at the Jets game, Section 316. Debating which jersey I'll wear. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I would normally, for a holiday game like this, like to wear my party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's holiday party, right?
Exactly. We are going to be partying, but the party does not have a good record this year.
No.
The Slamberg has a great record this year, so I think it's probably going to be the Slamberg. We'll see. Maybe it'll be something else. It's the holiday game. Throw your best Christmas themed stuff on, and looking forward to seeing everybody there. Maybe we'll get a nice little holiday photo of WS Tears dressed up for the holidays. Thanks to Jessi Pierce, Murat, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, all of you for joining us today, and of course all of our sponsors. Lockshot Partner Parlay and House Callers is up right now at Coolbet. Get on that if you want to ride with me. And have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Christmas. I hope you'll be able to join us on Monday with the early start at 11 a.m. But if not, have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and holiday with you and yours. Don't forget the additional content with Bones, Bayak, and Brent Fitz over the course of the 24th, 25th, 26th. Live premiere 1 p.m. on Christmas Eve. And then back at it for a regular show, 1 p.m. next Friday, right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Folks, have a great weekend. For Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. Best of the season to you all. And tomorrow, we'll see you at the rink for season's beatings, Jets and the Minnesota Wild at 6 p.m. And we'll be lighting it up in Section 316. Have a great one, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow at the game.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.